15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
Anyone know what a posteriotibialis tendon is? Hey, welcome to the show, Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff, because the entire NBA Finals may hinge on this particular injury. This is what Kristaps Porzingis is dealing with, Pearl, and I know you think this is a major deal.
You know, I've had every injury in the book, Maggie. In fact, I currently have every injury in the book.
And you've seen every weird doctor on the East Coast.
No, that's not true. I see only the best doctors because our friends here have hooked us up. I see the same doctors as a lot of these pro athletes. So anyway, probably the same people see KP. It's a huge, huge deal. If he's not effective, it does not even if he doesn't play. If he's not effective like he was in game one, then Mavs can make this a series like that. I mean, if it's 2-1, they win on Wednesday tonight. The Mavs win. It's 2-1 all of a sudden, and KP is not himself. You don't think panic is going to set in Boston? Panic all over New England.
Yeah, I get it. It's a big injury. It's a rare injury, they're calling it. It's a serious injury. We have Joe Mazzulla. Can we hear a little from the Boston Celtics coach, guys, on this injury? No? Okay. We'll get to that in just a moment. Mazzulla's kind of boring anyway. But it's a rare injury. It's a serious injury. We're going to dive into it a little bit more. But here's my thing about why I'm not saying the sky is falling for Boston yet. This is a deep team. Al Horford has played big minutes in these playoffs before, and you feel like a lot of it's going to fall onto him. I don't think they're going to be as quick to panic because they have that experience I was talking about of being in the finals 2 years ago. And they just went through an entire playoffs without Porzingis. He just came back from a calf injury where he was gone for 6 weeks. Now, you could say, Maggie, the competition wasn't as good. But I'm just saying they're used to playing without him. And he was coming off the bench in the 2 games he was playing in. They've gotten a sense of what life is like without Porzingis. If he had been there the whole time, and now all of a sudden on the fly, you're figuring out your rotations and how different things are without him, maybe I'd be a little more panicked. But they just survived 2 months without him.
Well, yes, definitely. But, Maggie, the competition's not the same. They're going to hunt Horford. Horford's going to get exhausted by the end of the game, and he's going to be a gigantic defensive liability. Then my guy, Luke Cornett, the Andrew Perloff of the NBA.
He is.
I mean, his game, oh, my God, it might as well be 10th grade me. He's going to be out there for 10 minutes. That's not good.
No, that's not good because he's not a shooter. He doesn't space the floor. It's this drop coverage, whatever you want to call it. You don't have to worry about him being a shooter.
Right. I mean, one of the reasons that the Celtics are up 2-0 is because they've dominated that Dallas front court. You let Dallas's front court get rolling like it did in the T-Wolf series, all of a sudden it's different. I'm telling you, all Dallas has to do is 2 things. Hit their threes and hit their free throws. And this is 2-1, boom, panic sets in, and Boston gets tight. Tatum's already tight. I mean, that's very clear.
Well,
now everybody else is going to get tight.
I don't know if Tatum's tight. It just the offense isn't flowing through him. And meanwhile, Brown and Drew Holiday have been more than willing to pick up the slack there. And it's not like Tatum's been bad. It's just he hasn't been dominant in the series. You know, this is another part. We're talking about Kristaps Porzingis. Game 3 is tonight, by the way. He's day-to-day. The injury is being called serious and rare. Apparently only one other NBA player, as far as we know, has ever dealt with this kind of injury before. And still try to play through it. But we act like this is the only injury that exists in this finals. Because moments before we got the news on Kristaps Porzingis, we got news about Luka Doncic that he's now has to take all these pain injections because this chest bruise has been so bad. And I know he's played through it, but he has not looked like himself either.
How does he not look like himself? In what sense? I mean, the guy had 32 points, 11 rebounds, and 11 assists.
You think he's grabbing at his chest all the time?
Yeah, but when he misses a shot.
Okay.
He had 11 points in 33 seconds the other night. I mean, he came out and was just like, I'm the best player on this court. I mean, he's still awesome. Yeah, he fell apart at the end of the fourth quarter, but that's because they're actually making him play defense. I understand. Like, first of all, him getting a shot to numb the pain in his knee, That's not a headline.
No,
That's
in
called
his
a
chest.
Oh, is that where the shot? Regardless, that's not a headline. A numbing shot for an NBA player or an NFL player or any major athlete. That happens all over the place. And that guy is fighting through every injury and dominating. I mean, 32, 11, and 11. Do you know how many people at his age have done that in NBA history? Zero.
Okay.
Not even your guy LeBron has done that.
No, I understand, but they're totally out of. They're not like in rhythm. You would say they're not in sync.
But it's not Luka. Kyrie has not hit a shot. And the guys from the outside, like the role players who really stepped up against Minnesota, have not yet. And now I don't know if they can. Boston's such a deep team; they can compete with them. I don't you see a scenario where here's the thing: if it goes 2-1 and KP isn't even on the floor, which is very possible, I just think that everyone's going to view this series completely different. As it is, I mean, it just feels like a series again, where it was not after these two games. You're like, oh, there's no way Dallas has no chance. Now it feels like big time chance. I'm going to double down, I think, on Dallas, on my bet.
Okay, well, you already have bet them to win in, what, 6?
Bet them to win in 6. I got them on DraftKings at like plus 180 or something.
Yeah. You want to take away this tuna jello bet from me? You want to throw that on the line?
I can't do
a little
that.
Misery loves company. You can eat it with me?
I offered you triple or nothing 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, I can't.
Triple or nothing
My
is...
brain and heart can't take it. But you want to eat it with me? You can eat the tuna jello with
I'm
me.
definitely eating it. I'll be totally honest. I'm psyched to eat the tuna jello. I love tuna. I love jello. Bring it on.
This isn't the sounds of an insane person.
Well, the only thing that grosses me out, you know how there's dark tuna and light tuna?
Yeah.
I'm going to put the dark, sort of cheaper tuna in there.
No, thank you. Get as much mercury as you can get in.
I was at the grocery store yesterday thinking about this bet that you have to pay off, and the ingredients are fine individually.
Yeah.
They're totally fine.
Yeah, individually, but you're going to mix them all together and it's going to be disgusting. Can we hear from Joe I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm just surprised that you are not as panicked about this as I think a lot of Celtics fans are. I feel like you're underestimating the impact Porzingis has had these last 2 games.
No, I'm not. He's like a plus 25. They're basically even when he's not on the floor. I get all the stats and metrics. I know Kyrie Irving hasn't hit the ocean. You think that's going to change? Definitely when he goes back to Dallas. I understand it. If I hadn't just watched Boston, I must have had a Boston accent there, Boston. If I hadn't just watched them go through like a buzzsaw through the Eastern Conference where they dropped only 2 games. It's not like they were even close in any of these.
Buzzsaw? Buzzsaw?
Yes. They lost 2 games. Bro.
Honestly, they went through like a butter knife. A butter knife through a hot loaf of butter. Like it was buzzsaw implies that they went through a tough. Doesn't that expression mean they went through a tough road? They went through the easiest road in NBA history.
Okay, and they made it look rather easy. And so it's not
actually
like
they made it look
struggling.
surprisingly hard for a team that was 12-2 in the East. It's like, wow, that was a very non-dominant 12-2.
Well, you're not going to blow everybody out. It's still the NBA.
But it's Indiana, Miami without Butler, and who was the second round?
The Bucks.
The Bucks, first round. And then the Bucks. They were not. Did the Bucks make it? Wait. Who did Boston beat here?
Wasn't it Milwaukee in the first round, Miami, and then Indiana?
Anyway, they just destroyed this entire East, but the East was all injured and problematic. So I do think it was easy. I don't think it was a bust. I'm being serious. I don't think they've seen a team like Dallas. And maybe Luka's hurt and Dallas is just another team on this list.
I'm just saying I've got the receipt, so to speak. I've got the proof of concept that they can win, that Boston can win, even if Porzingis is not on the floor.
It was Cleveland without Donovan.
Cleveland without Donovan.
Yeah.
It's whatever. The point remains. Like they lost 2 games. You can say, all right, well, games were tight in the final 5 minutes. Well, welcome to the NBA. I mean, that it still is the postseason. Can we hear from Joe Mazzulla, please? Here's the Boston head coach on Kristaps Porzingis.
He's doing anything and everything he can to be ready for the game tomorrow. It's a serious injury, and at the end of the day, our team and the medical team is not going to put him in any bad situations. And so we've taken a decision to play out of his hands because the importance of him. And so he's going to do everything he can to play, and then we're going to leave it up to our medical team, and that's really it.
What were you saying?
I apologize. My headphones were on. I thought we were listening to silence because my headphones weren't properly. So I'm like, here we see Joe Mazzulla, and I heard silence.
Well, yesterday was my headphones. Now today it's yours. What else?
But honestly, I don't think I missed much by.
Well, Ben, I'll give you the Cliff Notes. He said that they've taken it out of his hands, so it's not like, oh, this is not a Porzingis effort situation or willing to play through pain. And that's the other part about this injury, where it's essentially the tendon that connects your calf to muscles on the inside of your foot. So running, walking, I'm going to presume jumping, although it didn't say that, but all of that's going to be compromised, like because the inside, like the arch support might not be there. And obviously the guy just missed 6 weeks with a calf injury. And out on top of that, this is not you and me having this injury. It's somebody who's 7'4".
Yeah, I also too worry. This reminds me a little bit of Kevin Durant, who was limping around in the finals and then blew out his Achilles. With Porzingis, I will give you this. You've been consistent. You've been like, yeah, Porzingis is great when he's on the court.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I mean, this injury is 2 games in. What other injuries are coming? If he gets out there and he isn't fully supported by his foot, then he could hurt something else. It feels like a tough situation for me because we saw him play after the injury and he was totally non-effective. He couldn't chase down guys like he had been.
So here's the other part of this, which is even if he could play today, I wouldn't play him.
Oh, yeah, that's a good strategy.
Well,
but the next game's Friday, though. It's not a lot of time.
All of a sudden, it gets a little bunch closer together. And I get the stat is there. If you go up 3-0, no one's ever come back on that. LeBron came back from 3-1 with the Cavs, but no one's come back from 3-0. So you could put the nail in the coffin tonight, statistically. But again, even if he could go, I don't know if I'd play him because I think you got to show a little bit of confidence, too, in the rest of your guys. And listen, do we think that this was going to be a sweep? I don't think so, but I still think that Boston can absolutely win this game tonight.
Ooh, yeah, they definitely can. Gosh, man, it's totally nerve-wracking. If Luka's healthy and Kyrie finds his rhythm, I mean, it's going to be tough for Kyrie to find his rhythm because of the tough defenders on Boston. I just see one game where Dallas gets hot and it's 2-1, and just the whole mentality. To me, it's more of a mental thing where Boston's going to get in their own head. They're like, oh, man, we were up on the Warriors, and we blew that whole thing. They're up 2-1. Maybe they get in their head a little bit, and it just makes it a much more competitive series. Because right now, it's 2-0, and the first game wasn't even close.
No.
Like, so if KP was healthy, I don't think anybody would be taking the Mavs. But all of a sudden, the calculus totally changes.
Okay, so Kristaps Porzingis, who's dealing with this issue, one of the linchpins maybe of the entire Boston Celtics, and the Celtics are 2.5-point underdogs tonight. That to me tells you everything you need to know.
What was it before, though? I mean,
more than that, because if Porzingis is so important, why wouldn't that be a little bit bigger? And
because they've dominated. I understand what you're saying, but they've totally dominated the first 2 games. So I'm sure it moved when actually people knew the second that Porzingis went down in game 2.
Quarter.
Like all of a sudden, I'm actually surprised he's playing at all. I also saw ESPN Tim Bontemps, a really good reporter, said Porzingis looks fine. He's walking around. He just has no limp at all, which is what I really don't understand the injury in the sense that, like, if it's as rare as people say, what's he doing? Why is he a maybe? Shouldn't he just be out?
Well, a little gamesmanship, maybe don't want to show your hand. Believe it or not, the one and only Dr. Rock Positano is going to join us in the next hour. This is Perloff's famed foot doctor. Yeah. He's, your favorite foot doctor's favorite foot doctor. He's the guy at the top of the food chain when it comes to foot, ankles, all of that stuff. And he's going to grace us with his presence. Also, noted courtside seats at the Knicks game that he has given to Perloff many times.
I think he's done a lot. I'm not sure, and I'm not sure he'll disclose it. He's done a lot of work with the Knicks, so I think he knows a lot about Porzingis, too. Because the other thing, too, is regardless of what injury status, any 7'4" guy running on feet is an automatic problem. We know
kidding.
It's the feet and the big man. I don't know. Are people talking about the irony of it's the Bill Walton series, and Bill Walton won 1 title with Boston as a 6-man, and then his entire career was ruined by bad feet, and now Porzingis is a 6-man. Is anyone talking about that? That'd be a good little narrative there. I could throw it out.
I mean, the one difference is Walton had already won a title in Portland.
Right, but
Porzingis hasn't done much.
I totally understand that, but Walton was at the bottom when
That's
the
true.
Celtics picked him up. It just reminds me somewhat 6-man, 7'4", whose whole career will probably be ruined. Like even if Porzingis wins this title, do you expect him to really ever stay healthy and be as good as he can be?
No, I think this has been something that's plagued him since he came into the league. He's gotten much bigger, to his credit. He looks a lot stronger and sturdier than when he came in. He was so skinny. But I think this is an issue, and I hope it's not an issue for Wembanyama and Chet Holmgren and these guys who have this sort of freakish bodies, and we're like, this is the future of the NBA. Well, not if they can't play. And, to Wemby's credit, he held up pretty well.
Embiid, different set of injuries, but he's always had major injury concerns. It's hard when you're that tall.
No kidding. But it doesn't mean you're not driving to San Antonio to apologize to Wemby.
Well, yeah.
Still happening.
I can't wait.
October's getting busy. We're filling up on lots of activities.
I don't know how I managed to negotiate to get this in October. Oh, because Wemby's got to show up for preseason.
We need him to be there.
Yeah, there's definitely there's some issues with the old Honda Accord though. By the way, I haven't told you.
Check engine lights on.
I can't even really it's starting to get wobbly. It's got about 140,000 miles on it. Okay. There's some engine issues. I can barely drive to New Jersey. Is it going to make it to Texas?
No, this is why we need to find you a different ride.
Yes, I definitely need it.
You gave me a ride the other day. Your car seemed fine.
Yes, because I wasn't on the open road for 27 hours.
No, just across town, but I appreciated it. Big time. Saved me a lot of money. 855-212-4227. Okay, you're welcome to weigh in on the Kristaps Porzingis injury, and now is the door open here for Dallas? And can they take advantage, more importantly, if Porzingis is compromised for the rest of the series? Also coming up, listen, I get certain fan behavior, but last night was egregious, and it's for the last reason you'd think I'm talking about. This is not fans throwing things or being jerks or being inappropriate, but it's still bad fan behavior. We're going to get to that next. Good morning. It's Maggie and Perloff, Infinity Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. 1 minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. "45 seconds remaining. "30 seconds remaining. "15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back to Maggie and Perloff. Talking NBA Finals. I think that the Kristaps Porzingis injury is gigantic. I don't understand what the heck is hurt. I read it like 3 times.
Yeah.
We're going to have Dr. Rock Positano, foot expert, on to explain it and what the impact is. But Maggie, you are not pleased with a certain fan base this morning.
Yeah, listen, I want to applaud the St. Louis Cardinals fans. The Cardinals fans, you guys are classy. We know you're classy. You're classier than any fan base than I root for, generally. But I think you took it a little too far last night. Do we have some of the audio on this? Okay. Let's just set it up. You have Paul Skeens, who is from LSU, Pearl. You may know he's dating Livy Dunn.
Yeah, a guy with a mustache.
Yeah, number
fastball
1 overall pick.
Slider, yep.
He's awesome. That's been a great story. He's in St. Louis last night, locked into a pitcher's duel with the ace, basically, the St. Louis Cardinals. So, what is he?
Number 2 starter.
Number 2 starter. Okay. They're locked in a duel, 0-0. In fact, the St. Louis pitcher is actually pitching a no-hitter, and Paul Skeens is pitching a shutout. And this is through 6 innings. Skeens has a runner on second, gets pulled from the game, and this.
Will hand over the baseball, 103 pitches. He'll leave with a runner at second, 1 out.
Look at this, Greg.
Yeah,
we got
Cardinal fans giving him a standing ovation.
Incredible.
What are you guys doing? What are you doing? Meanwhile, Pirates go on to win the game 2-1. It's okay, I think, to give the opposing anybody a cheer or standing ovation, but I think you have to earn it a little bit more than 6 scoreless or 6 1/3 or whatever he was through. I mean, no hitters, complete games, something unique we've never seen before. You know, that's fine. But 6 scoreless feels a little flimsy to give the opposing pitcher in your ballpark a standing ovation. I get being classy, but you don't have to go over the top with it.
All right, let me get the terms straight here. So you're okay if the guy had gone, say, 8 innings, then you can cheer for him, or is there a never cheer for the other team policy? What's the policy?
I think 8 is borderline. I think you would do the complete game. I think you definitely give the person a hand. Obviously, the no-hitter, even if it's a hated rival. Like, I remember Max Scherzer threw a no-hitter in New York against the Mets. Like, you have to tip the cap to that guy, even if he's been torturing you for years because of the achievement. 6 scoreless? Like, I get it. Starters don't go as deep into games as they used to. This isn't Bob Gibson. But 6 scoreless. Like, what are we doing?
I think it's funny that you're evaluating the performance. Like, he only made it 6. If he had made it to 7,
all 9.
So,
okay. That's an achievement.
I don't think you can pick and choose. Either you can cheer. There are certain situations. Either you can cheer for the opposing team or you can't. You can't have it both ways. You can't say, well, that was not quite cheer-worthy, because I think the take has to be it's lame to cheer for the other team under any circumstance. You can't say, okay, well, that guy was really good. Okay, so I'm a Jets fan and, Tua looked awesome. I'm going to cheer him. I think you should have a no cheer for the other team policy, or just open it up like St. Louis.
Wait. First of all, this is a baseball thing. There is the only circumstance you could ever cheer an opposing football player is if they're coming back from injury or they're leaving from injury. And they are either getting carted off the field and you give the polite applause because that's the right thing to do.
Oh, you mean when he gives a thumbs up? I'm like, what? You're cheering? Now you're going to sound like a Philly fan. You cheer the guy on the cart?
When they give the thumbs up, yes, when everything's fine. Not what you guys did to Michael Irvin. But the Eagles fans. I think more if a guy's coming back from injury, Alex Smith, you could probably give him a round of applause when he came back. The guy almost lost his leg.
Okay, I want to make it clear. So different sports have different rules on cheering for the opposing team.
Of course. And this rule, and the St. Louis Cardinals fans, I get it. Again, I know, you're classy. We get it. We all get it. But this felt so over the top. 6 scoreless, Bogusch. Are you with me or against me?
100%. I saw the early tweets of, this is a good start from Skeens and Michaelis. Then I saw nothing until this video of them applauding. I'm like, man, what did this kid do? And then I read 6 1/3, no runs, 5 hits, 8 Ks. Now that's good. But I don't even know if you need to stand for that in Pittsburgh. Now they would because of who he is and everything like that. But it seems
Pittsburgh.
It seems unnecessary
also, for
to me.
Nicholas, 7 innings. This is the actual St. Louis pitcher. 7 innings, 1 hit. 6 strikeouts. Did they pop a bottle of champagne for him? Is the confetti cannon go off? What do you do for your own guy?
Enough of the Cardinals and their stupid way.
You can be classy without having to be so over the top. We get it. You're good hosts. Meanwhile, your team's 31-34. All right, so maybe we're not.
What's that like?
Cheering the Pirates.
Only 3 games under 500.
Wouldn't it be great? Take our teams out of it. Our teams are not classy. We get that. This is the fate we are resigned to. But come on.
See, I like Philadelphia because it's the Phillies probably would have booed him in that certain
sniped him so they would have do it again.
No, I mean they would have booed him
out.
Phillies boo their own players consistently, louder than the other team. Just boo everybody. Don't even stand up and cheer.
Allowed.
Maybe if you win a playoff series, but I like the just overall cynicism. I think you guys you want 1 foot in the niceness of St. Louis, but you want 1 foot out where it has to be a great accomplishment. Either you're anti-St. Louis fans, you can't pick and choose here, or you're pro. No.
You can say we can be adults and appreciate a competitor doing something really good, but it's got to be really good.
I don't know. So you're okay if he'd had a shutout, a 9-inning shutout, it's okay to do a standing ovation for him?
It's a begrudging standing ovation. It's yes, I actually am a baseball fan. I realize that I just watched something that doesn't happen all the time in an opposing park. All right, hats off to you guy.
Yeah.
6 1/3.
Yeah, but I think 6 innings.
That's a regular Tuesday night.
6 innings of 8 strikeouts with that nasty stuff is interesting. I get it. You guys got to get
because he's new and he's got that stupid mustache. That's all this is.
I mean, it's compared to some no-name who went 7 innings with 1 hit. Nobody cares about that. Paul Skeens is a thing right now. You kind of understand that. If it was some normal pitcher, if it was some normal pitcher who just had good breaking stuff that night, there's no way they're cheering. So when a phenom comes up, it's totally different, and you know that.
Yeah. Where's the Caitlin Clark effect? Why can't we give this guy a couple proverbial elbows? Why does he get this easy path where he's getting cheered by the opposing team?
Yeah, somebody knock him over.
What happened to Welcome to the League Rook?
You see, you got it all wrong. I'd be cheering for him. I'd be a nice round of applause. The cheer would be that he's out of there, that I don't have to deal with him.
Yeah.
Goodbye. Go sit down. And hopefully my team can bounce back from it.
Right. You're just hoping that the bullpen sucks.
Right. You don't cheer anybody. You don't cheer any opposing player unless they're thumbs up from an injury or they're retiring. And even then.
Retiring, I didn't think about, but sure.
Oh, I mean, you mentioned it, Perloff, the ridiculous catch that Clemson kid made on Sunday.
Yeah.
He's walking up the field at the end of that inning. I could stand up for that catch. It was borderline Willie Mays-like retreating, running, jumping catch to save their season, like a singular effort like that, okay, fine.
But you're heartbroken there in that moment.
Yeah,
I don't think you could get up for a cheer in that instance.
For that.
You're stunned. Or Paul Skeens going 8 no-hit innings, gives
Right.
up a hit to start the 9th, they take him out, and he's walking off. Okay, fine.
Yeah,
but
it's a
6 in the
harmless
3rd, nothing? Come on.
It's a harmless Tuesday night. Like, if that was a playoff game, they're not cheering Paul Skeens.
It's a harmless Tuesday night. That's the issue.
Yeah,
who cares?
it's like a nice little Tuesday St. Louis Pittsburgh game.
No, the Ryan's saying there wasn't anything remarkable about it. Why are you standing up and cheering?
That's an average Thursday for a Cy Young caliber pitcher.
Well, Bogusch is saying, like, oh my God, my team just got beat in the most heartbreaking fashion of all time. That's when I stand up. That's exactly when you don't stand up.
That didn't end the game, but your point is it's all or nothing, and it's not all or nothing. But there's just the line is far down the road that you got to get to earn applause from the opposing fans. A singular ridiculous play is on the list of things that I would applaud for as a in that situation. Not 6 in the 3rd shutout innings and 8 hits on a Tuesday in St. Louis.
But the way
for 2 non-contenders.
But the way he throws is what they're cheering, right? I mean, it's just unusual. I mean, it's a super fast fastball.
That's the breaks. He's not on your team. And you could love watching Randy Johnson or Pedro or any of these guys, and you can appreciate it. But when they're playing your team and they go out and just do what they do, not even anything remarkable, they're just doing what they do. That's a no applause situation.
It's also a division rival. I mean, that division, that NL Central is tight. Well, why are we cheering cheering? It's like if Met fans are cheering Tom Glavine coming off the mound.
Well, no, it's not, because Tom Glavine, that's not cheer-worthy pitching. That's just efficient, that's the thing. This guy is like Nolan Ryan. He's not like Tom Glavine. That's the point. It's fun to watch. What if they cheered Shohei? What if Shohei had 1 home run, a normal game, and just oh my gosh, I can appreciate how awesome it. But just St. Louis would cheer that dude.
Yeah, and that's wrong. That is wrong. If he hits 3 home runs in a game, I still don't love it, but fine. I mean, he's just blatantly kicking your ass. But I still don't love that. I don't.
I just think you guys are.
You're at the game to appreciate Shohei. That's how you show your appreciation. Your butt is in the seat.
You're there for batting practice.
Sure. Get an autograph. Try to.
Yeah.
I just think you're underestimating how different in a Paul Skeens 8 strikeouts in 6 innings is than some no-name guy. Or some normal pitcher. I think it's the. I mean, you guys get it. Obviously, it's Paul Skeens.
Give me 6 innings and 13 strikeouts, and then you can consider applauding.
But if it was some other Pirates pitcher, they're not going to applaud. So it's definitely unique to this guy a little bit.
Yeah, I still don't love it. Anyway, let's put out a poll. Cardinals fans cheering Paul Skeens 6 in the 3rd. Meanwhile, their own guy had a no-hitter going, but we can probably leave out that detail.
Crickets as he left.
Yeah, they're like, boo. No, they would never boo anybody. Apparently, it's a non-booing society over there.
Yeah, see, I think you guys are
utopia.
Mets fans. You should be up in arms about this. That's the thing. You should go on and say never cheer the opponent. You should.
Believe me,
that's what I'm saying.
Just
we got
don't
enough
you
history
can't
with the
pick and
St. Louis
choose.
Cardinals. We don't have to rehash that. This is not a Mets thing.
Bilotti, you're a never cheer for the opponent guy. Then.
No, you don't cheer for the opponent.
But do you want to be Bilotti?
I don't know.
Pete's demeanor?
Well, yeah, I'm from Philly. We don't cheer anybody.
Oh, wait. I've got something for you. So I told you guys in the last segment that Perloff gave me a ride yesterday or last week.
Yeah.
And your car seemed great. And you gave me a ride across town, and I appreciate it. Kaplan is in our chat, youtube.com/InfinitySportsNet, twitch.tv/InfinitySportsNetwork said, I feel like Perloff would be a great Uber driver, and Pete would be the worst. Lots of road rage.
That's why I don't Uber drive.
Oh, yeah. You are not a happy driver, are you?
No, I'm not. It's a lot of cursing.
Would you be a good Uber driver?
Yeah,
Perloff?
I'd be fine, I think. I don't know.
No, your quality of driving is fine.
My Uber rating, unlike you, is a 5.0.
Oh, man, I wish. I had a bad ride that tanked my whole average.
Yeah.
The yelling when I drive actually has gotten to Timmy.
Oh, you're kidding.
Oh, yeah, my kids get mad at me, too. But you have to curse when you're driving in New York City.
He doesn't curse, but he gets mad at the driver.
Oh, on your behalf.
Yeah.
Oh, he's on your team? My kids are like, Dad, stop cursing. It's just a pedestrian.
He's like, what are they doing?
You're raising a little Pete.
Right.
Do you give people the finger?
No, because you could get shot where I live. Yeah, you definitely would not do that.
Yeah, I don't do that either.
Only people that can't get me, I give the finger.
It seems.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I get the urge. I've done it before. I'm not saying I've never done it, but I haven't done it recently. And I get the urge. You just really want to flip someone off so badly, but I'm worried what that person is going to do back.
Yeah, no, it's definitely something to worry about, especially if the tinted windows or something, can't see the other person. That's bad.
Mark Van.
But by the way, I just want to be on the record. I've never cheered an opponent in Philadelphia. I've never seen anyone in Philadelphia cheer the opponent under any circumstances. It could be a 9-inning, 53 strikeout appearance, and they are not cheering. So,
Perloff, we know.
I just think
we know
I'm just
Philly
saying,
doesn't
like,
do
want to
that.
be you.
I'm just saying you guys are being totally soft in the sense that you're like, they should not have cheered last night. You should be a no cheer ever. Like, you can't. You're like, I just think that you're like Paul Skeens. He had 8 strikeouts. His whip wasn't that good, so I don't know why they're cheering. I feel like you're picking and choosing here, and I think that you need a black and white policy.
Well,
Me and Pete have one.
Exactly. You think Eagle fans are cheering Tony Romo if he threw 7 touchdowns in a game?
We already said football's different. There's no excuse to cheer
why
for
is
the
football
opponent.
different?
It's across the sports. It's everything. It's not like the Olympics.
No, it's like the individual nature of baseball just makes it a little different.
Yeah,
I'm
that's
sorry.
true. Like
It's
you
just
also you can't
different.
you can't pick out a football player's not going to know you're cheering for him because there's 10 other guys on the field. Like you can't pick and choose with football. NBA you could. I'm sure Boston fans will cheer for Kyrie if he hits a couple threes.
You know what? I actually have been, when I was allowed, in Madison Square Garden where people did the home crowd did cheer when someone dropped 50.
Right, but the Knicks probably weren't competitive.
They
then.
weren't. And also, the person had to drop 50, not Paul Skeens pitching 6 1/3 on a Tuesday. It's not the same. Bogusch, we have time for headlines, don't we?
You tell me.
Let's do it.
It's all sponsored by Progressive Insurance. Protect your family, your phone, your furry friends with life, electronic device, and pet health insurance. A lot of gossip, a lot of drama on the show this morning. NBA Insider versus NBA Insider. There's hot dog infighting. And there's golf. Rory McIlroy is no longer divorcing his wife, Erica Stoll. That news came out at the PGA Championship last month. And now on the eve of the next major, the U.S. Open, Rory's lawyers filed a petition yesterday to end the divorce proceedings. McIlroy telling The Guardian, quote, over the past weeks, Eric and I have realized that our best future was as a family together. Thankfully, we have resolved our differences and look forward to a new beginning. Rory half dismissed discussing the rumors connecting him to CBS golf reporter Amanda Balionis through all of this. Also from Pinehurst, John Rahm withdrew yesterday because of a foot infection. Do you want to comment again, Perloff, on golfers walking or anything like that here?
Oh, you're right, because John Rahm is just an elite athlete in every way. I mean, I get his body confused with Michael Phelps sometimes. Okay. John Rahm, it's like, goes straight from the bar eating chicken wings to the course. I mean, come on, get out of here.
He's dealing with gout. Is that why he's out of here?
I'm just saying, like, if we're talking about athleticism in golf, John Rahm is not your guy. Bogusch, you have to admit that.
He's not part of my argument, no.
Yeah, I know there are a lot of like
one John Rahm. I've got 6 guys with 6-pack abs, so I still win this one.
Yeah, and by the way, did that give him any advantage over the Craig Stadlers of the world?
Don't bring the walrus into this.
My fit guys are playing. None of my guys have foot infections.
Shane Lowry was killing at the PGA, and he does not have a 6-pack. He actually has a 6-pack. He has a 6-pack, but it's not the abs.
A little Yingling, Bud Light, something, an IPA. I'm not sure.
By the way, the Rory thing sounds like a good time. I'm really... I've never been less jealous of a guy with $400 million in the bank in my entire life. Like, let's get my entire up and down marriage in the papers.
In a month. From major to major. Getting divorced, like, not getting divorced.
Oh, my God.
That sounds like a good time.
It's like... If he wants to talk to somebody.
I'm a person who, in my mind, I'm like, if I had enough money, I could survive anything. Like, money would buy happiness. Like, it clearly does not.
No, it definitely doesn't. Yeah, this is a tough one. My question is the timing on this.
Yeah.
The week of a major?
Yeah. He seems to coordinate his family news with majors.
Yeah, right. But like, this couldn't have been a Monday or a Tuesday thing.
I have no idea. Apparently, golfers want to involve their family. Like, Scotty Scheffler's got to bring his 3 days out of the hospital. Let's bring that baby out to the loudest course in the country. And everyone's like, what a dad. That is not... I don't want to get it. I'm not going to we all agreed as parents, like, dude, what are you doing? Like, this cannot be good for the nap schedule to have your baby out at the memorial.
I mean, both my kids, we stayed home in our house, just the 3 or 4 of us forever.
Yes.
And this baby's being passed around at golf events.
I know.
The umbilical cord's still attached, basically.
Oh my God.
Thank God you said it because I was thinking it. Yeah. So we got Rory's family. We got Scotty in and out of jail, bringing babies to the tournament.
Now he's just a deadbeat dad in and
now
out
all of a sudden,
jail.
like Tiger is the one with the normal family life. That's where we're at. We're at that.
Tiger Woods, picture perfect nuclear family.
Tiger's too injured, but at least he's got the support of his loved one. I mean, this is
Yeah, it's not like his girlfriend was just recently trying to like sue him for
that's right.
the NDA that she had to sign.
Oh, yeah.
That's normal relationship
By the way, I
stuff.
did. This is a bit of a left turn, but I saw this headline that Alcaraz, who just won the French Open, that his agent has one concern, and that is too many girls coming after him. I mean, that first of all, that's a problem. Every
I
male,
get it.
Like, how is Alcaraz cannot go out dating? Like, I mean, like, how do you continue this career when every woman on earth is throwing yourself at? Because I assume that guy is the number one catch out there.
I know, but I love how you think that like this is some like 1998 and you have to go to a bar to meet somebody. That's all in the phone, man.
Yeah, but yeah, that'd be funny if you're on some dating app and it's like you're swiping over. All right, Bill from Poughkeepsie. Oh, he's a CPA. Looks good. Carlos Alcaraz, 3-time major champion. Click.
Yeah, like
Carlos
Spanish
A.
heart.
You're telling me, like,
Spanish heart.
I was just wondering, like, how does this work? Like, he's got to like turn down women left and right.
Well, I think I can tell you a little how it works because I was actually just reading an article about this. Clickbait.
Oh my God! I want
No, I'm not sliding into DMs. Good grief, guys. I might have big feet, but I have some morals. So it was like an article about how do you get people to respond to your DMs.
Okay. Win the French Open.
First, you got to qualify for Wimbledon.
Yeah,
that small thing. What it said was it was a hilarious article because like here's some things from women who have slid into DMs of famous people, and it wasn't just athletes. It was also like musicians, like John Mayer or whatever, people like that. And they give you all these things. Maybe this was a TikTok. It's like all these things that you could do, and at the end they just go, or you can just show them your boobs. And I was like, yeah, wow.
Yeah, there you go.
Do we need the whole video for that?
Science, Maggie.
There is a celebrity like dating app though, for like
Raya.
the higher ups.
Yeah.
Like there's like private apps that celebrities use to meet each other.
Yeah, but that's like, is that like Carlos Alcaraz level celebrity?
I think so.
Or is it like
He needs that, guys. I think it's just like
it's
every
like
other
Seth
person.
Green level?
Seth Green.
Yeah, like I don't think that's like A plus list guys. I don't think like you can meet Rihanna on there, right?
I don't know. Maybe she's taken though. So.
Oh, right. So yeah, I don't know. I actually understand why quarterbacks get married at 22 because I think it'd be terrible if you're Carlos Alcaraz. Like you know that everybody wants a piece of you. So how do you know it's genuine
you say
love?
this like it's a bad thing.
I think it is a very bad thing.
I
Honestly, I think a lot of athletes are like, man, I'm just going to get married and get out of this dating pool because it doesn't seem fun.
Yeah, but
everybody wants a piece of you, and it's not in a good way.
I mean, this sounds really fun, especially for tennis. You're in a different city.
I don't
every
think it
week
sounds.
Or two.
I don't think it sounds. Oh my God, what a headache! Are you kidding me? I think it sounds miserable.
Is this because like? What's the miserable part about
it? Because you meet a woman and you cannot trust that she has genuine motivation.
Genuine intentions. Okay, that's another thing.
I think that's very nerve-wracking for these pro athletes and in real. I mean, like it's something they got to be very careful about. I don't think that agent was messing around.
Yeah, I mean, something tells me they're all doing just fine.
I don't know. Rory's in and out of his marriage.
Do you think that Carlos Alcaraz is celibate?
I don't think they're doing just fine. I think it's tougher than you think it is. Yes, of course you have women throwing yourself at you because you're a millionaire, you're super handsome, you're awesome at tennis, but I think it's complicated.
I think that these women, some of them who are, if you're into this kind of sort of casual relationship with a celebrity type thing, groupie, if you will, I think that there's like a vetting process. Unofficially,
They're vetting the potential dates.
I think so, and I also think that there's a reason why some women become more popular, maybe with professional athletes than others, maybe known for their discursion or something like that.
This sounds like dangerous territory. You just said like you have to vet these people.
I'm saying as long as she's gives consent at every turn, then okay.
Yeah, but Carlos Alcaraz is a 21-year-old athlete. Like you think that he's going to go through this whole system every night of the week? Like, what if he's just at a bar on a Thursday night, Maggie? I think again, that's why it's a dangerous territory. You just said they have to have this complicated system.
I don't think it's complicated. I think it's like
right.
You got a guy.
Did so and so sleep with her? And she was fine.
Yeah, I know. Like,
Sorry.
yeah.
Hook
listen,
up.
when we see that Carlos Alcaraz is out of Wimbledon with crabs, we're going to know exactly what happened.
Or cramps.
I'm telling you. I'm telling you right now. That
cramps,
agent was not messing around.
Wait a minute. Do these? That sounds so. Oh, we got to go to break. Does that sound so old timey? Do these STDs still exist? I don't know. I've been married for so long. Wouldn't know. Crabs. That feels like something from the 80s.
No comment.
Want a deep dive on this?
I don't know. I'll consult my nearest. I don't know. Gynecologist.
Maybe Dr. Rock Positano will know.
We do have a doctor coming on later. What a good fortune for us. Dr. Rock, before we get to Kristaps' calf.
What's more rare, crabs or
or this contusion?
The fact that Maggie just asked, do STDs still exist?
No, I know they do, but
yeah, they do.
Outdated.
Are there some new ones out there floating around that Maggie doesn't know
the
about?
monkeypox?
Right.
That came out of nowhere. 855.
What does Riz mean?
Oh boy.
It's not a drug. It's not like Molly. It's,
You can't make them up in a lab. Well,
yeah. It's chlamydia.
Sounds awful. Well, good luck to Rory. That's how this whole thing started.
Enjoy yourself.
Coming up, Aaron Rodgers not at mandatory minicamp. Doesn't matter. We'll tell you.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. 1 minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. $30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
What the is Aaron Rodgers up to today?
Welcome back. Haven't done one of these in a while. Rodgers been relatively low-key since he almost ran for vice president.
That was 4 weeks ago. What are you talking about?
Feels like forever in Rodgers land. We were doing this segment every day for a while. Rodgers, an unexcused absence from Jets mandatory minicamp. Let's hear from Jets head coach Robert Saleh, please.
The second one is Aaron. Aaron and I spoke before OTA started. He's been very good in communication. He's been here the entire time. It's inexcused, but he had an event that was very important to him, which he communicated.
Okay, we should mention this portion of the show is brought to you by Wesley Financial. Stuck in a timeshare and want out? Contact Wesley Financial Group now and get a free timeshare exit information kit at wesleyfinancialgroup.com. The framing of this was odd to me. Do I think this is a big deal ultimately? Not really. But I thought it was odd how the team decided to message this to people. It's an event that's very important to him that's taking place now. Kind of made it seem like it's an event important to him, but not to us. This isn't like, we don't know what it is. It could be anything because it's Aaron Rodgers. But Pearl, it didn't make it seem like, oh, he's at a charity event helping, orphans in the Sudan. It's like it's something about this is important to him, and that makes your mind go to all these different places because Rodgers has some unique hobbies.
Yeah. You're trying to apply normal logic to Aaron Rodgers.
And the Jets, apparently.
Yeah, like, what are you doing here? Like, yeah, seems consistent with Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers says, I want no distractions, all football, and then all he does is do nothing but distractions. I mean, it's obviously, I think several people are pointing out the hypocrisy of this because Aaron Rodgers says, let's get the BS out of the building, and all he does is deliver more. So, yeah, it is interesting, too. And I think you also have to look at it like there's a lot of positivity around the Jets. They have a really good roster. They have a great defense. If Rodgers is healthy, they should be a very good team. But this reminds you, it's more complicated than just having a good roster. There's also the inconsistency of Aaron Rodgers.
Here was Rodgers from January 8th and what Perloff's talking about. This was a press conference that he held where he said the distractions and the BS have to go.
It's not a half the time thing. It's not a sometimes thing. It's not a most of the time thing. It's an every time thing. If you want to be a winning organization, you have to put yourself in position to win championships and be competitive. Everything that you do matters. And the that has nothing to do with winning needs to get out of the building.
Keep in mind, he said this while he was literally in a riff with Jimmy Kimmel, the late night host, because he tried to connect Kimmel to Jeffrey Epstein. I mean, it got weird back in January, and then told everyone, I'm not going to address it here because I'm going to address it on Pat McAfee tomorrow, so stay tuned. Like, wow. The delusion on this dude is...
It's barely even a wow anymore. That's like a Thursday on Aaron Rodgers' world. And I think you're right. It kind of got quiet for a while, but I think he's raised the bar of what's weird so much now that even this is like, typical. Are we going to do the thing later where we try to guess where he was?
Yeah, we've got some ideas about where could Aaron Rodgers be today? What was so important? He had to miss the mandatory minicamp. That, by the way, has been on the schedule, and it's only 2 days. Like, something was happening yesterday or today. He just couldn't make it.
Your mind goes to politics, holistic health, drugs. It's a whole wide range of options here.
We will tell you where we think Aaron Rodgers was coming up in the next hour. We got an update on maybe the most important franchise in sports right now. And one of their most important players. Who is it? What did they say? Why does it matter? All happens in a matter of moments. Sit tight. Maggie Perloff.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. 1 minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. $30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
Going to be quite a feat here for the Kansas City Chiefs to try to keep this dynasty going. Hey, welcome to the show, Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. Clearly, Pearl, we know they've got the best quarterback in the league in Patrick Mahomes. Andy Reid is a genius, but a huge part of the Chiefs' success on offense through this dynasty has been Travis Kelce. And Kelce was at their minicamp yesterday, and let's hear from Travis, the future Hall of Famer, said he's not looking to lighten his workload, even though he's about to turn 35 years old.
Wear and tear me, baby. I'm ready for it, man. Put the load on me. I love being accountable for these the men and the women in this building and Chiefs Kingdom. I love the aspect of everybody counting on me to try and make that play for the team and just do the right things out there on the field and better judgment for the team. And I just I don't think that anything from last year put more miles on me, made me less of a player. I think it was all in all it was just focus, being my own worst critic. And capitalizing in situations that I should have.
Also said he's going to do this until the wheels fall off. He talked about on whether or not the team's talking about a three-peat.
It's really only come up when I got cameras in front of me. I think everybody's pretty motivated to keep the mentality that we had last year. We didn't get to back-to-back by always talking back-to-back. We got there by trying to figure out what's the best way to get better from last week. And yesterday, and I think that mentality is key in something like this. You can't get too far down the road. Obviously, there's a goal set, but there's a bunch of them that are set before that, like trying to win the division, trying to get first place in the AFC. Those kind of things are more obtainable right now than thinking about the three-peat at the end of the year.
Okay, so that's Travis Kelce, Pearl, and I think you and I disagree on just what he means to the future success, the current and future success of the Kansas City Chiefs.
Right. I mean, Travis, first of all, he's 34, turning 35. Yep. I think he can still be productive for a long time because he doesn't really have to block, I'm assuming. So he could just do his thing. Even if he's down 10%, he's still faster than any linebacker, and he's still bigger than any safety. So he still has that advantage. I think he's still going to be effective. But even if he does retire, maybe gets hurt, very possibly get hurt at this age.
Or let's just say he regresses like he did last year. Like the numbers were not at the same level that he's used to be.
This obviously, right, and had no impact on the Chiefs' ability to win the Super Bowl. So that's what I'm saying. If you have Patrick Mahomes and you have Andy Reid, as you preface this, you're not only in the mix, you're the favorite. And I don't care. Obviously, I thought they were dead when Tyreek Hill left because he was the best weapon in the entire NFL. Now, I can't say anything different about Travis Kelce. If he goes away, you still have Mahomes and Reid. You're still right there. And the Chiefs did this incredible thing where they built this powerhouse defense on the sly. They're like, we're not going to pay Tyreek Hill, and all of a sudden we're going to be amazing on defense. So they have shown that they can change with the times and figure out new ways to win. And I don't see any reason that would stop.
Okay, so if Travis Kelce turning 35, this was a season that by his standards really was like a down season. He only played in 15 games. He was hurt, obviously, in the beginning of the year. 984 yards, only 5 touchdowns, where 2 years ago he had 12 receiving touchdowns. But he was amazing in the playoffs.
Yeah.
So The game against Miami, 7 receptions on 10 targets. The game against Buffalo, 5 receptions on 6 targets and 2 touchdowns in that game. He was 11 for 11 against Baltimore. That first half that they put together, Kelce was unstoppable. And then in the Super Bowl, he's 9 for 10 and was a big part in the second half after he bumped Andy Reid and almost knocked him over. If you remember that from the Super Bowl, he really came back and was a major factor and averaged 10 yards per reception in that Super Bowl. You need this guy. You do. And if there's whether it's the regular season, getting through that and winning your division and getting the number 1 seed, okay. But look at what happened in the playoffs. Look at what happened, especially, again, I'll highlight that game in Baltimore. That was massive, and it was huge for the Chiefs to get out to a good lead there because the game plan was then to sit on the lead in the second half, and they were not as aggressive, and I think that was by design. So to me, it's not as cut and dry as, if Kelce continues to regress or doesn't have great numbers or is hurt, I don't think it's as easy as, we replace Tyreek Hill, we can replace Travis Kelce. I do think they would feel it. I think they would feel it more than Kelce because Kelce was responsible for so many first downs. Tyreek Hill was so many explosive plays, but Kelce's the keep the chains moving guy. They have different roles.
Why can't they just find a new guy? I mean, he's problematic now, but they all of a sudden invented Rashee Rice last year, a second-round pick out of SMU. Was he second or third? Anyway, he was not a first-round pick. And all of a sudden, he's an unstoppable possession receiver.
Well, he's going to be gone for how many games?
Right, but who cares? They'll just find a new Rashee Rice. And they'll find they're not going to find a new Travis Kelce, but they're always going to find new targets. I mean, who is Isaiah Pacheco? All of a sudden, they're running the offense through a 7th-round pick out of Rutgers. They are unbelievably malleable. They just find new players because of the quarterback. Yeah. I'm sorry, it's just always going to be the quarterback. If you took Mahomes out, then who cares if Kelce's there? It doesn't matter. Kelce is not the important part. It's the Mahomes part. So the fact, they beat Baltimore 17-10. What is the notable aspect of that final score? They held a top offense in the league to 10 points. Yep. That's incredible. They got a little lucky because Zay Flowers lost his mind for most of the second half. But I just think that they always find new ways to win. And also, Andy Reid's offense is always going to be humming. The offense is not what I'm ever worried about.
Yeah, I listen, am I predicting the demise of the Chiefs? No, because that would be silly. I think that this is going to be tough for Kelce. And the other part too, Pearl, is we've seen some tight ends that can hang on for a long time, like the Tony Gonzalez's and guys who could play forever and ever. But, we also see sometimes with tight ends, it can kind of fall off, Not everyone's going to be Mercedes Lewis or whatever. It can fall off and kind of fall off fast. Let's not forget when Gronkowski came back to win that title with Brady in Tampa, he'd already been retired for 2 years. He took a time, or at least a year. He took time away. He's doing wrestling. He was doing all this other stuff. Yeah. Came back a lot more refreshed.
Wait, is that for or against your argument? Gronkowski came out of the wrestling ring and was awesome when he came back.
No,
it was a big weapon.
I think he needed that time. If he had just played all the way through.
Way more physical player than Travis Kelce.
Well, yeah, you're right. Better blocker. Gronkowski is, no doubt.
I'm not sure. We have to look at the numbers. Is tight end a little more age-proof than wide receiver? Wide receivers definitely fall off after 30. I feel like tight ends.
But what's Kelce really? Yes, he's a tight end.
Yeah, he's very much a tight end. He's not lining up in the X or the Y. He's running around the middle of the field, and he starts off really close to the line. He's not going out there against a huge cornerback. I think he's a huge weapon. What?
No, but he's a pass catching tight end.
Right, but those pass. Do they fall off with time? I'm trying to think of some. Did Dave Casper all of a sudden not be good at 33? That's the best one I got.
Yeah, I was like,
I just think it's not wide receiver. He's not pure speed. So I think he's a little age proof.
Pine Needle makes a good point here in our chat. If you want to come in and watch the show, youtube.com/Infinity Sportsnet, twitch.tv/Infinity Sports Network. Good hair day all around, everybody. Proud of you. Proud of us. Pine Needle says, good old Kelce came back in the second half because Dre Greenlaw blew his knee out. Prior to that, he had 0 catches. Fair. He took advantage of a matchup that suddenly became available to him because of that injury.
Antonio Gates played till he was 38. I had no idea. I think wide receivers can go a little longer. But let's make this argument more clear. Are you saying that they're not going to three-peat because Kelce's getting older, or are you saying the dynasty's done when Kelce retires?
I am saying...
Not done, but in trouble.
Yeah, I think that they're going into this year still with Kelce as their top receiver. I'm sorry. It's not going to be Hollywood Brown. Like, it's still Kelce who's going to be the guy who they're going to rely on. And especially with Rashee Rice's legal issues, it's definitely going to be Kelce's the guy. And if he regresses, they can't win. That's
but he
what
did
I'm
nothing
saying.
during last year's regular season. And they were fine.
And if he regresses to the point where it's like regular season and also in the playoffs, like if he's not himself, he became himself again in the playoffs. If he's not himself, if he does regress truly, fully, they cannot three-peat.
Okay.
Like if his numbers
pulling
continue
out
to
of
go
the
down.
shelf in the playoffs.
Well, here's the other part about that. We're talking about the Kansas City Chiefs, of course. I would like to think that the rest of the division is going to put up a little bit more fight this
Why
year.
on earth would you think that?
Because Jim Harbaugh is with the
AFC
Chargers now.
Okay.
I think that's going to be a difference. And you did have Sean Payton. I don't know what's going to happen with Bo Nix. I don't know what to do with Denver. I'm not expecting a lot, but I'm expecting maybe it looks a little bit more competent than it did last year. I know they put together a 5-game winning streak at one point, but behind the scenes it was bad with asking Russell Wilson to take this weird pay cut and forfeit guaranteed injury guaranteed money. It just got really weird. Kind of expecting that not to be so weird.
Well, I disagree. I think Denver probably got worse. They got rid of players. I know the Raiders got worse. The Raiders were about 500 last year. It's going to be really hard with the Aiden O'Connell, Gardner Minshew. And I think the Chargers got rid of a lot of salary, so maybe they're gearing up for future. I agree.
But like the Chargers are right there. It's like Herbert's in his prime. He's good. You got Harbaugh now.
Yeah, but what could you have said that the last 2 or 3 years?
Well, he didn't have the good coaching. Brandon Staley is a disaster.
Right. I mean, I just think it's a stretch to say all of a sudden the AFC West is going to be a big challenge for them. It does feel like
I just said a little more of a challenge. Can they put up a little bit more of a fight?
I don't know. It feels honestly like you might have 2 possible tank teams in your division. I mean, you look at the Super Bowl odds, the Broncos or the Raiders are way, way down. So you're looking good in that sense. I'm not panicking about that. It's not the AFC North.
Question: if Travis Kelce does start to show some regression, can the Chiefs three-peat? Do you think they can three-peat anyway? 855-212-4227. Just on its surface, it's hard to do.
Right. It's
impossible.
The last time it happened in the Super Bowl era was never.
Yeah.
So it's already some challenges. Yeah, I just think that they get at least 1 or 2 more years out of Kelce. And I think the bigger question is when Kelce goes away, is the dynasty over? I don't think so. When Andy Reid retires, is the dynasty over? I don't think so. I think Mahomes is just going to be dangerous for a long time. He's the GOAT. I mean, he's awesome.
Mahomes going to drag Matt Nagy along with him, whoever's going to be the head coach when Andy Reid retires.
No. Well, that's a good counter argument to my argument.
Can I bring up something else just quickly? And we were talking about Aaron Rodgers, and he's not at the mandatory minicamp, and him calling out other people for being a distraction. Meanwhile, there's another headline about Rodgers like every other day. Can I do a little just quick Travis Kelce appreciation moment? He's dating the most famous pop star on the planet. He was in a movie or TV show, whatever that FX show. He's in some kind of horror show or something this year. He's getting into acting, essentially what I'm trying to say. He's got like the #1 podcast in sports. He's clearly getting pulled in all these different directions, and yet I never doubt for 1 second that football's not the main thing with him.
Right.
And I think that deserves to be pointed out. I mean, listen, congratulations. You're just doing your job. Good for you. But I do think that like Taylor was such a distraction for all of us last year. And I'm sure the novelty is going to wear off if she's at every game this season because like we've already been there, done that. But I think that, Rodgers just can't stop making these distractions all the time. And Kelce really has these big distractions, and it feels like it never permeates onto the field.
Yeah,
ever.
It's almost the opposite where he wants to impress the most famous pop star in the world. And she works really hard, and it feels like it almost has the opposite effect. Not only is it not a distraction, it makes him better at his job. Which, because I think like Taylor Swift obviously operates at a very high professional level. I think that kind of couple can help you. And honestly, if it was dating like Dennis Rodman dating Carmen Electra, it's different. Like Taylor seems pretty buttoned up. So I think it actually works.
855-212-4227. You are welcome to weigh in, on the Chiefs three-peat. Yes, no? How are we feeling? The meaningful additions that they made to their roster this offseason.
Xavier Worthy.
Thank you.
That's about it.
Live in infamy for every Bills fan till the end of time. Hollywood Brown is another one.
Yeah. And how many rings did you get for winning March? I can't remember.
That was a draft pick. I mean, it's a pretty good one.
No, I'm just saying, like, they didn't make any moves. Yeah, if anything, they lost guys, but that does not. That sounds big in the offseason. Come September, that means nothing.
Coming up, Kristaps Porzingis dealing with a rare and serious injury. That's how the team has been describing what's going on with his calf and now down to his foot. We will have noted, world-renowned foot doctor, Dr. Rock Positano, has become a friend of the show. He's going to tell us whether or not KP's done for the series. Maggie Perloff, don't move.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. 15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
All right, Maggie, welcome back to Maggie and Perloff. We all saw Kristaps Porzingis go down in Game 2. He got up and played, but he wasn't the same. Now we understand he has a rare injury, putting his status tonight in jeopardy, and really his status for the rest of the series in jeopardy. It's a torn medial retinaculum in his left leg.
Nice job.
Oh.
Nice pronunciation there.
Yeah, it's funny. We were texting back and forth last night, and you did not understand exactly what that meant, and I did not either. Fortunately for us, we have a very good friend of the show who is a renowned foot and ankle doctor. Of course, Dr. Rock Positano, who is director of the non-surgical foot and ankle service at the Joe DiMaggio Heel Pain Center, knows this kind of injury, I believe. Rock, great to see you. How you doing? And help us understand this injury.
Bro, all I can tell you is that, you and Porzingis, had the same injury. So I think he was trying to, dupe you up on this. I don't know.
I told Maggie that.
Perloff on the injury.
I told Maggie that. I'm like,
so KP.
He's running like me on the basketball court.
Maggie, seriously, Porzingis wants to look like Pearl on the court, so this is what this is all about,
Dr. Rock, don't we all? Don't we all want to have the jump shot of Andrew Perloff?
So Pearl's the man.
Yeah. So a lot of people are betting the game. A lot of people are watching the series. How serious is this injury? What do we know?
Well, Pearl, let me tell you, the important thing to remember is that the tendon that is really directly involved, which is the posterior tibial tendon, is one of the more important tendons in the foot and the ankle because it's responsible for maintaining the shape of the arch. It's very important for shock absorption. It's very important for push-off when you're running up and down the court in this case. So I think what the issue here is the possible problems that a person could have in other areas outside of that tendon, because there is a direct effect on how the posterior tibial tendon affects things above the ankle, particularly in his case, the knees. So I think the bigger issue long-term is what's going to happen with this fellow's knee. I think they know, because he has a history of having knee issues, that this could also affect this in a deleterious way if it's not dealt with, rather rapidly. But the tendon itself is very important for maintaining the shape of the arch. And that's the reason why, of course, in a basketball player, especially a guy his size, it tends to be a more, difficult type of a situation to handle.
Dr. Rock Positano joining us. Dr. Positano, can he play through this if it's a pain management thing?
Yeah. Look, Maggie, in most cases like this, what they're probably going to do, first of all, I must say, we know the Boston medical team. They're great professionals. They really know their stuff. So there's no question in our mind that they're going to be doing the right thing. But in most cases, if you stabilize this, what they call retinaculum, and the retinaculum is like a tendinous area that pretty much keeps the tendon in place, okay? And we have that in our ankle. We have it a little bit above our ankle. I think if they can keep the stabilization of that tendon in place and not allow it to move so much or to sublux or whatever they want to use out there, I think this fellow should be able to play without any difficulties. And, people say, what do you do with something like this? Well, look, it's still a soft tissue injury. Okay. So as you know, if you're given the option, Maggie, of breaking a bone or damaging a ligament or a tendon, trust me, as Pearl could tell you, probably would want to take, the bone.
Yeah.
So in a case like this, this is a really tall guy. He's really strong. I mean, again, we find that in players that tend to be very tall, that they're a little more weak in their feet. But I think the thing here is that if they stabilize the injury, if they put the right bracing on there, if they probably do some rehab, they'll probably do EPAT, which is a form of, I don't want to use shockwave, but it's a form of pulse activation technology. I think they can get him ready, and he should be able to hopefully play without any issue.
I never get the pulse activation technology. What's or is that?
Sure.
Yeah,
sure, Pearl. That's
yeah,
a shot. That's a rat tat machine you get.
That's the. Oh,
right,
okay. Yeah.
It's the machine that the whole office can hear you screaming.
Yeah. Me and many other famous athletes, because I think you like to torture people. So, I was trying to get a narrative going, Rock, about Bill Walton was the sixth man on the 85-86 Celtics and famously got one more championship out of this, but never really had a career. And you mentioned big man and feet. To me, in my mind, Bill Walton is the most famous foot injury. Like, feet can just ruin a career. Is this a big man thing, or do you see this in all kinds of sports?
Well, look at the fellow that played. What was it, Yao Ming? He was a big guy. Right?
Yeah,
he was over 7 feet. I mean, when at that time, I was asked whether or not they should do surgery on him, and I said, look, you're crazy to do surgery on a guy that size because there's no way it's going to hold. Well, of course, as fate would show, we were correct. I mean, so I think when you're dealing with clearly a person of greater volume. I mean, the amount of stress that the feet have to endure, and people are seeing it more and more. And I know at our hospital, Hospital for Special Surgery, more and more of my sports medicine colleagues who are treating knee, hip, and back injuries are realizing the importance of how much foot structure and foot function and foot mechanics and foot stability play, not only in being able to wear a sneaker, run up and down the court, but also the amount of effect it has on the tracking or the alignment between the knee, the hip, and the back. So yes, so for a bigger person, a guy like a Porzingis, for instance, or a Yao Ming, whereas you get a guy who's in great shape like a Tiki Barber, all right? Now Tiki, is like a piece of steel. I mean, Tiki he was in great shape, and he still is in great shape, as we all know. But I mean, a person like that, because their proportioning is better, their mechanics are better, I mean, they're less likely to develop these types of injuries, whereas a person who's a lot taller, who has a lot more lankiness and not that compactness that you get like in a guy like Tiki. I mean, they tend to have problems more in the foot and the ankle.
Dr. Rock Positano is joining us. He's your favorite foot doctor's favorite foot doctor. He's the top of the food chain when it comes to these issues. Dr. Positano, last one for me, which is just, you work with professional athletes, so this kind of calculus can happen a lot, which is the Celtics are up 2-0 in the series. Porzingis has this injury that you're saying he could play through and they could get him ready to play through it. Is there a thought to sit him tonight, and could resting for 2 days make him even more effective for Friday's game 4, or is it not that type of injury?
Well, Maggie, that's a great question, and that's certainly a smart thing to do. Of course, anytime you could allow someone who has a soft tissue injury to maybe rest for a day or two, allows the trainers and the medical staff to treat the area, to help to bring blood flow to the area, to help to bring the swelling down. Of course, it's not a bad idea because they are up 2-0. They're a relatively very deep team. They have a strong team. I certainly don't think sending him down for a game would necessarily hurt the outcome, but it certainly would probably, in his case, help him to be a little bit better prepared the next time he's able to get on the court.
Okay, last one for me. I understand you. If people don't know, Dr. Rock Positano, also an author, has a best-selling book, Dinners with DiMaggio, and a book, Street Smart.
Cool.
I understand they recently translated Dinners with DiMaggio into Italian. Can we hear a little Italian? What is the name of the book in Italian?
It's called A Cena con Mr. DiMaggio. It's a great book. It's a lot of fun. The Italians are big fans of Joe DiMaggio.
Still.
So much to the fact, Pearl, that many years ago, I had the pleasure of sitting down and having dinner with Luciano Pavarotti. And he said to me in Italian, he says, well, people don't realize something. But in Italy, Joe DiMaggio was the top man. And people don't appreciate that in my country, Marilyn Monroe was famous because she was married to Joe DiMaggio.
Wow.
It was kind of interesting, But yeah, we had a lot of fun. And of course, as you know, Mr. DiMaggio was responsible in so many ways for doing what we do here at Hospital for Special Surgery, having a non-surgical foot and ankle service, because as you know, his career was ruined because of a botched heel spur surgery. So of course, a person who's athletic realizes the importance of having good feet, and that's the important thing. That's why, Maggie, you can't play Pearl one-on-one on the court. I don't think he'll show you any mercy.
Listen, Dr. Rock Positano, I learned long ago not to take on Perloff with any athletic endeavors. It ends badly for you.
Wait, one more quick question. So after this is done, would you say that KP Porzingis not having surgery might be a good idea? Because if they do surgery, it sounds like that could be a huge risk moving forward.
Yeah, look, in this case, I'd say certainly we would manage it at our place. non-surgically. We would get that area strong again. We would support it the right way orthopedically. We would be able to stabilize that posterior tibial tendon so that it doesn't have any negative effects on the knee. And of course, as I mentioned, there's a classic anatomy question, Maggie and Pearl. They say, what's the quickest way to give somebody a flat foot? And the answer is to rupture the posterior tibial tendon, which is what he has. So what you want to be able to do is to stabilize it, strengthen it, heal it, and he should have no problems hopefully for the rest of the series and also for next season.
Great. I appreciate it.
That just changed the whole outlook on the series. I really feel like that's some great news for the Celtics.
I have a lot of friends or Celtics fans were panicking about this injury, but it does sound like something that happens to Big Ben. Rock, we really appreciate the time, and we'll be calling a lot because there are a lot of foot and ankle injuries. I see them everywhere now that I know you.
Hey, Maggie, tell me something. Is he still, crying about the 76ers getting knocked out?
Yeah.
It's insufferable, Doc. Can you do something next time about shutting his mouth or something? I know you're really a foot and ankle guy, but maybe something around this region, the face. Maybe you can get him on a wait list or something.
Well, all I know is that, he, like yourself, he's a class act, and you have a phenomenal program, both of you. You give such great information to your listeners, and that's really what's so important and so responsible about what you guys do.
Thank you.
I told you, Maggie. That's why we love him. Thanks, Doc. Great to talk to you.
Dr. Rock Positano. He's the guy.
Yeah.
The guy. Non-surgical foot and ankle service and the Joe DiMaggio Heel Pain Center, as you said, at the hospital for special surgery.
So it's funny. Our buddy Big Cat had a funny tweet. He goes, this is either a mild sprain for Kristaps Porzingis or the worst injury in the history of mankind. Because whenever you put a word that people don't know in there, what is this word? I said it. Retinaculum in his left leg.
Yeah, it sounds better when Dr. Rock says
But Dr. Rock is like, yeah, I know this injury like the back of my hand. That made me feel better. Like, okay, we're not in uncharted territory of a rare leg injury.
Maybe the Celtics are trying to do a little gamesmanship here, make this sound a little worse. Dr. Rock's saying you can get him ready to play, and he knows the Celtics medical staff personally and says he's going to be good.
Yeah, he does that thing too. He's like, he does the universal we, like as if sounds powerful.
It's like I'm sure it's a small world.
Yeah,
it's like broadcasting. You kind of know everybody.
Yeah. He's like, we know. That was like, oh boy, there is a high level of doctoring going on right now for Kristaps Porzingis.
I would love to know who he thinks is a bad medical staff, but I think I can probably guess. Chargers. Bogusch is here with a update.
You didn't ask him about crabs, though. You forgot your crabs question.
We forgot to ask him about VD. Doc, come back. Is chlamydia still a thing?
Let's get real personal here for a second. We're talking doctors. I go to get my annual physical, and they ask you, do you want an STD test? And I always find that as a married man an awkward question.
Like, you know what? Give me two.
No,
it's been a hell of a year.
Honestly, like if you did need an STD test, that means that you are, you're going to admit that to some nurse.
Or your partner's stepping out.
Right.
It might not be you.
Ah, crap. Never crossed my mind. That explains the crabs.
That's why she's never home on Tuesdays.
Wait, what?
That's her day out.
Yeah, I understand. She is never home on Tuesday.
Yeah, well, look out.
Perloff suddenly suspicious.
Connecting those dots.
She's getting drinks with Stacy. What are you talking about, Bogusch?
Have you met Stacy?
Stacy King?
Yeah. Dr. Positano's like, all right, we're going to look at your ankle now. I'm like, why are you doing that? What do you know about gonorrhea? No, I'm just
What's the treatment for that?
I'm sorry, saying the names of the STDs always funny.
Funnier to say them than treat them.
I'm like Carlos Alcaraz, who just gets preventive penicillin. Apparently,
yes. Perloff's worried about how these young, famous athletes are going to deal with all these women who are throwing themselves at them, which led us to a robust conversation about VD.
Yes, and that's
nothing
why
to do with Alcaraz.
That's why I'm worried. I mean, his agent came out and said the only thing that can slow Carlos Alcaraz down is "quote unquote" the girls. This is something that
not the issue that this show has.
The four men in this room never had that problem. I don't know if there was ever a moment in your guys' career where you had to worry about this, that the women were going to slow us down.
No chance.
I forgot the women who were banging on the door outside to get in just to see you guys. I must have missed them.
Easy, Bigfoot.
I know. Me and my water ski foot or my feet are my own business. I was going to ask Dr. Rock, for someone who's 5'8", is having a size 9 shoe normal.
He would have been perfect.
I know. I just didn't want to make it about me.
Yeah,
it's about
I know.
Porzingis.
He charged you extra. He charged you for 2 visits.
One per foot.
He's like, you're going to have to call your insurance company. I'm not sure I can cover these bad boys.
We don't see
Send out a special adjuster to see if we can have you in there insurance.
Should I have special shoes for my size 9 feet?
It's like, wait, why do you have to keep taking pictures of my feet? What's that about?
Yeah.
That's
it's so funny when,
medical-like.
When he brought up Yao Ming's feet, Maggie's like, yeah, I relate.
Actually, what went through my mind is I've actually seen Yao Ming's feet in person.
Are they big?
When you look down.
No, they were small. Yeah. When, we were shoe shopping together.
Wait, what do you
Same
mean
section.
You've seen Yao Ming's feet? Is that one of those situations in the locker room where you're like, look down, look down, look down?
Always either in the locker room, your eyes can only be one way, very much down or very much up. You don't want to be in the middle. So, yeah. No, he's sitting down there and you're all crowded around him in a scrum.
And you happen to look down at his feet?
Yeah.
Okay. Learning a lot here. And?
They're proportionate to his body. They're big. He's a big dude.
Oh, locker rooms.
There it is.
Locker rooms. One of the great things about sports media,
He was dressed.
No one's
I
ever
don't remember that
explained to
part.
me the naked locker room thing. No one has ever
it's
said,
so awkward and
why
awful.
couldn't you just have a separate room like any other
understand.
workplace? Yeah.
This is something that from like the 50s or something. This is like, oh, it's always been this way. We could have a much better system right now. We just don't.
I think, though, for the most part,
It's changed
the
a
newer
lot.
places now have a separate room to
COVID
change and shower.
COVID changed a lot, too. They created a separate
That's
locker
true.
room.
I have not been in a locker room. That's not true. I've not like I used to be, where it's all the time.
They have a separate locker room because the system's never made sense. Like, let's do somebody performs and then you do a post-game important interview and he's got a towel on.
It's silly.
At most.
It's silly. Bogusch has headlines. Hello.
And despite Dr. Rock's best efforts, I still think the Porzingis injury is made up, much like the Mavs have been doing with Luka Doncic. That injury report getting longer and longer. If he's hurt at all, ankle, knee, thoracic contusion.
Retinaculum.
Doncic apparently got a pain-killing shot for that before Game 2 of the Finals and is expected to get another one tonight for Game 3 in Dallas. Kyrie Irving making a shot would help as well. 13 of 37 from the floor, including 0 for 8 from 3 so far in the series.
That's literally been the focus since Game 2 ended, was just putting our best foot forward, coming back home, feeling good, feeling familiar, and letting our game speak for itself.
Once the finals are over, we shift into draft mode. Donovan Clingan, Stephon Castle, Reed Shepherd, and Pearl Man-Crush Dalton Connect reportedly among the first 12 players invited to the green room later this month. Another 11 to 12 will get invites in the coming days. Where do we think Bronny will be on draft night?
Not in the green room.
They can't,
They
right?
can't. No, that'd make it all. That'd
Be
hate
at
to say
home.
it'd be a laughing stock because he's not going to. Is he going to get drafted in the first round? We think the second round. Well, it's 2 days now.
If he's there.
Well, he won't. So the 12, I mean, he's not going to be there, right? Because we've got the list of 12.
Well, no, they're going to invite more people.
Oh, they are. Sorry.
But the draft's now, the first round's one day, the second round's another day,
Yeah.
so maybe it comes the second day. I don't think he's anywhere near it. And I wonder if we get a camera in the house, like the NFL draft.
I mean, first of all, this 12-player list is so weak anyway. I mean, everyone.
It's a commercial not to watch the draft at all.
It is a famously non-great draft, right? I mean, people have been talking about this, and then you see the names. It's like, whoa. Even Reed Shepherd, who's 6'3", and he's going to be the number 1 or 2 pick. It's nuts to me. Sorry, that's my NBA draft analysis.
If there was a year to trade a first-round pick for a veteran, might be this year.
Yeah, except nobody wants the first round, the number 1 pick. That's
Exactly.
the problem.
Yeah, where's Bronny on draft nights?
He's got to be at home with LeBron doing a little draft party. That would be, I mean, I'd want to be there.
Playing some pool.
Well, this could be the tip-off is, he's a fringe. He actually shouldn't be drafted. He's a
Right.
fringe player in college, let alone the NBA. But if we know the fix is in that the Lakers are taking him, then you'll know by the size of the party. Like if they actually put a camera in his house and there's 35 people there and balloons and all that stuff, then you pretty much knew it was going to happen.
Right. It's not
You knew
like
beforehand.
Because we have seen in the NFL a lot of people do a draft party then go undrafted. Like that's happened. But this, you're saying there's too much knowledge here.
I think so.
Well, I mean, they got to take him in the second round. To not take him in the second round, that'd be wild. I will bet. I mean, what are the odds?
No, I think they'll take him too.
I'd say there's a 95% chance they take him.
Who's going to be coaching him? Still don't have that answer. Where's JJ? Oh, he's in Dallas, probably calling the game tonight.
Packers QB Jordan Love said yesterday an extension could be done by the time training camp starts next month. GM Brian Gutekunst has said it would be ideal to get something done by then as well. A quick reminder that Aaron Judge was hitting 206 at the end of April.
Here's Aaron Judge, righty hitter, swings and flies it. Left center field. Isbell back on the run at the wall. It is gone. Goodbye.
Wow. Into the waterfall.
Oh, Aaron Judge forgot about his manners. He bruised that baseball.
436 feet for Judge, called by Emmanuel Barbari, Susan Waldman, Yankees radio. Judge now has 25 homers total, 21 of them in his last 41 games.
I really got nothing. It's still early in the season, and just trying to put together good at-bats. We're facing some tough teams with some great pitching staffs, and anytime I just try to scratch out some early runs, do whatever you can to get some runs from the board. That's about it.
Another tough one last night. They only won 10-1 in Kansas City. They've won 11 of their last 14.
Judge is a big guy with feet problem.
Fingers crossed.
The toe he ran into in Dodger Stadium last year.
Because he's he puts so much weight onto those feet. That's a guy who I wouldn't invest 20 years in. Retinaculum. Yeah.
The Phillies, 4-1 winners at Fenway, but catcher JT Realmuto is having surgery today for a nagging right knee issue. He couldn't miss 2 months. Baltimore blanked Atlanta 4-0 for a 5-game win streak. The Dodgers 5 homers in a 15-2 rout of the Rangers, and the Guardians got a 5-3 win in Cincinnati. Josh Naylor a homer and 3 RBI. And the Washington Mystics finally have their first win of this WNBA season, 87-68 in Atlanta. Guys, back to you.
Bogusch, thank you. The most bizarre food and sports-related story we've heard in the last 24 hours. That comes your way in just moments. It's Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
You're in a 5-minute break.
Dismay, no NBA on NBC. What a shame. Just JJ Redick's wine ain't the same. Peter Bellotti is getting upset. Maggie Perloff, can you hear his plea? Bring back the NBA on NBC. Set his spirit free. He misses Mar. Co-stars and the crew, those were the days. Pete cries out, boo, boo. Bring it back, oh can't you see? Bring back the NBA on NBC. Let it be. Pete's mad, he's feeling sad. Bring it back, oh make it right. Bellotti's got something to say. Infinity's mice. He's feeling the dismay. No NBA on NBC. What a shame. Just Billy going down. Redick's wine ain't the same. Peter Bellotti is getting upset. Maggie Perloff, can you hear his plea? Bring back the NBA on NBC. Set his spirit free. He misses Mar. Co-stars and the crew, those were the days. Pete cries out, boo, boo. Bring it back, oh can't you see? Bring back the NBA on NBC. Let it be. Pete's feeling sad. Bring it back, oh, make it right. Belotti's got something to say. Infinity's mice. He's feeling the dismay. No NBA on NBC. What a shame. Just JJ Redick's wine ain't the same. Peter Bellotti is getting upset. Maggie Perloff, can you hear his plea? Bring back the NBA on NBC. Set his spirit free. He misses Mar. Co-stars and the crew, those were the days. Pete cries out, boo, boo. Bring it back, or can't you see? Bring back the NBA on NBC. Let it be. Pete's mad, he's feeling sad. Bring it back, oh, make it right. Belotti's got something to say. Infinity's mice. He's feeling the dismay. No NBA on NBC. What a shame. Just JJ Redick's wine ain't the same. Peter Bellotti is getting upset. Maggie Perloff, can you hear his plea? Bring back the NBA on NBC.
30 seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back, Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. A lot of sports and food-related items kind of crisscrossing, Pearl. So we want to do a little segment around here we like to call Do You Believe It? Now, generally, we don't do food-related items in this particular bucket, but today we are, because we have 3 sports and food-related things. So here's the question, do you believe it? The first one is about the Nathan's Hot Dog Eating Contest, where Joey Chestnut, the 16-time champion of this event, may not be participating because he signed a deal with a vegan hot dog company or vegan food company. Do you actually believe Chestnut will not participate?
I do, and I'll tell you why. Because the fact that I think there's an existential threat to the hot dog community about vegan meat. I think this is such a big deal in the sense of, like, not any company. It's like saying basically the kind of food that is going to take our entire industry down, he is with. So I think, honestly, I bet you think he is going to compete, but I think this is such a transgression by him to the hot dog people, big hot dog, if you will.
Big pharma?
I think this is very serious business. I think there's a lot of money at stake in the non-meat versus meat industry.
See, well, that might all be true. Who's the conspiracy theorist now? But I think this is also to drum up a little bit more attention, because Chestnut winning has kind of become like passé. It's just, there's nothing interesting about it. The guy's dominant. He's the Michael Jordan of Major League Eating. I think this is all publicity stuff. I mean, it might be real. There might be some real contract, but I think it's also a nice publicity stunt to get some juice back into that contest.
Well, okay, so now you're out conspiracy theorying my conspiracy theory.
Well, I'm happy to be that person.
I mean, like, you're telling me the hot dog eating industry is not straight up?
I also love how the Major League Eating said in a statement, Joey Chestnut is American hero. I think we're using that term a little loose.
A little.
But yeah, I do agree with you. It has added a lot of interest. A lot of people are talking about this story. A lot of people.
Our next, and we can talk more about it if there's more to talk about. The next food-related, do you believe it? This comes from a couple days ago. Tyreek Hill, the Miami Dolphins, claimed he had never tried a donut. He had never eaten a donut in his life, and this is what it sounded like.
You're right. It looks good, but... Oh, wait. Ooh. That's kind of good. The first part, not good, though.
Stupid. Stop lying to us. How the guy went his whole life in this country not eating a donut? I find that logic just really hard to follow.
But it's such a random thing to lie about. Why would he lie? What's the incentive?
I don't know, to make a moment? Like Tyreek Hill wanting the cameras on himself? Wow, I could never expected that. I mean,
it worked. If it was Drew.
Yeah, right. And listen, I get Tyreek Hill, professional athlete, you're in peak condition, but a lot of these guys don't figure out the nutrition part of it until much later. So you're telling me you went your whole life, you never had a Dunkin' Donuts, never a Krispy Kreme, nada?
I guess so. I don't know.
You believe him?
Yeah, I mean, I honestly, I don't think it's another one where I'm not going to go too deep into this. Like Tyreek Hill's trying to. Why would anyone make up that they've never eaten a donut? Like, why would you take the energy to make up that lie? Maybe it's like LeBron-like.
Yeah, but this is how he says he's never seen The Godfather, that he has seen The Godfather when he clearly hasn't. The LeBron lies are silly.
Have you ever seen the videos where a kid eats ice cream for the first time?
Oh yeah, they're great.
Yeah, this is like Tyreek Hill eating a donut. Like, because to me, a donut, like, I mean, can you imagine having? I think donuts. The only reason I don't eat them is because they're unhealthy.
Right.
Like, the second that I find out that I have the terminal disease, I'm going straight to Krispy Kreme and housing a box of donuts. They're the best tasting food ever.
Yeah, they are.
Except
amazing.
ice cream's pretty good.
But that's why I just don't believe you never ran into a donut before and you were able to say no thank you. I mean, if you're not eating donuts, it's a conscious decision. I don't believe this.
Okay.
The last one for you, and do you believe it? This is food. This one doesn't cross over with sports so much. But I've been getting this into my social media algorithm, and I don't know why, because I don't ascribe to this diet. Here's a woman who claims to be on an all-carnivore diet, and this is what it does to her body.
One of the biggest misconceptions about the carnivore diet is that people think if you only eat meat, you will smell terrible. This could not be further from the truth. I used to be vegan for 6 years. My body odor, sweating, and farts just went out of control. And now that I'm carnivore, I don't need any soap or body wash. I smell amazing, and I no longer fart. How about you?
Wait a minute.
Okay.
Get Dr. Rock Positano back on here, because I gotta call BS on this one.
Oh, I 100% believe this.
I believe that if you eat vegan, you probably fart a lot.
Yeah, you're eating hummus and chickpeas and
a lot of cauliflower and broccoli.
Oh my God, yeah.
Very gaseous things.
Oh, yeah.
That part of it, I totally believe. You're vegan, you're definitely farting a lot. A lot of beans.
Yeah. But this makes if the carnivore diet is the opposite of the vegan diet, that does make sense to me intuitively.
Okay, but I'm not saying. But she's saying she never farts at all anymore. That can't be. We all fart.
You guys ever done an all meat diet?
No.
Like, you're constipated like crazy.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like you
gosh.
need to, and I'm sorry, I've read a lot about Atkins. Like, you need to mix in vegetables, otherwise, like, nothing's moving.
You're just backed up.
Nothing's moving. So that's what I think. That's why this sounds like it kind of makes sense to me.
Well, maybe you're right. I've never done like the high protein keto, whatever they call it. But this woman,
well, Atkins is the most famous, probably.
She was eating a cold stick of butter on a fork.
Yeah. You say that it's radical. I know a lot of guys who've gone Atkins and like they eat stuff like that all the time. Butter, steak.
We're ignoring the fact that she said she doesn't need body wash or shampoo.
Thank you, Ryan. Bring it back to making the main thing the main thing.
You got to keep it a little simple. I can't even get into that.
Like, you can, you don't have to fart. That's one thing, but you don't need soap now.
You're that marvel of medicine.
She's covered in dirt, probably.
Also, don't we get something called the meat sweats? That doesn't smell like roses, guys.
Like after you have a hamburger. Yeah.
You ever been to a churrascaria?
A what?
Brazilian steakhouse?
Nope. That's called?
Sweating lamb out of your pores.
It's great. They take giant things of meat and they cut it and shave it right there. Yeah. So wait, if you eat all meat, I would think like dogs would follow you down the street. Like you'd smell like meat.
Apparently, she says no, it's not all carnivore diet. She says she doesn't need body wash, soap, or shampoo, and she doesn't fart anymore. And in a different video, she says her acne completely cleared up.
That's nice.
Eating butter off of a stick?
I mean, this woman sounds like a super catch. But
she's very pretty and super thin.
Why is butter part of a carnivore diet? I feel like there's a back to nature, like a natural diet. People don't eat things that are processed at all. That's what I would think of a carnivore diet. Things you can only get in nature.
Yeah,
you can't get butter in nature.
She's eating like bone broth jelly.
What about the raw diet? Have you guys ever seen that, where they don't cook your meat?
The meat?
Yeah, the raw diet, like you eat things that are less cooked.
I've seen that with vegetables and stuff like that.
No, it's basically like you get chicken, but it's not all the way cooked like normally. I think it's called the raw diet.
Well, you've said you'd eat chicken sashimi, and I feel like we need to kidnap you and
No,
make sure you don't
I
do
don't
that.
want to eat it. I eat it in a bet. Like
I wouldn't offer that. There you go. I got one other.
The fact that I'm even making that offer in a bet, you think is a mistake?
I do. I don't even put that on the table.
I'm gonna
for
smell.
us.
If I eat raw chicken, I'm gonna smell great. Apparently.
This is also another thing. I thought this was fake. This isn't so much a food, but apparently Bobby Flay and Pepsi are getting together to create a fragrance called Smoked. So you're going to basically smell like a grill?
Let's make a campfire.
Yeah. It's designed to evoke the unmistakable scent combination of Pepsi and a flame-fired grill. Look out, ladies. I mean, fighting them off with a stick, guys. Smell like a grill. Coming up, great debate Wednesday around here. This one's a doozy.
You're in a 5-minute break.
Lost Andrew Bogusch, lost in the fog of golf. Bogusch can't see his way. People out his voice in his ears every day. Tom Brady's glory, it's all too much. Andrew Bogusch needs a break. Bogusch has had enough of Pete. Freedom from Bilotti, that's what Bogusch needs. People he won't leave alone. His voice keeps ringing in his headphones like a drone. Oh, get out of Bogusch's head. People can't you see? Bogusch trying to be free in the sea of noise. Let Bogusch find his peace. Oh, get out of Bogusch's head. People Andrew Bogusch, lost in the fog of golf. Bogusch can't see his way. People out his voice in his ears every day. Tom Brady's glory, it's all too much. Andrew Bogusch needs a break. Bogusch has had enough of Pete. Freedom from Bilotti, that's what Bogusch needs. People sitting in my room, scrolling through the tube, watching Maggie Perloff, getting in the groove. Found a viewer in the chat, his name's Delta 9 Brian. Spitting fire comments, he's the #1 fan. Got his fingers moving, stepping non-stop. Dropping all the knowledge, never gonna flop. Talking about Ryan, he's the king of the chat. With his love for the show, there ain't no doubt. Every episode, he's always in the mix. Leaving comments for the host, he's got the tricks. Talking about Ryan, he's a YouTube star. With his quick comments, he'll take it far. from 20-second views. Scrolling through, he's got no time to lose. Maggie and Perloff, Daddy's keeping score. YouTube's his love. He's begging for more. Double tap, clicking on that video. From sunrise to sunset, he never lets it go. Maggie snappy, Perloff's got a glow. Daddy's hooked, he's looking for the show. Chasing trends, Daddy's on a quest. Comments pouring in, he's one of the best. From every corner of the internet's reach. Daddy's voice. Ready to preach. Reach it to preach. Living life in 20-second views. Scrolling through, he's got no time to lose. Pine Needles wakes up at dawn. Coffee brewing, screen turned on. He's got a favorite show to see. The Maggie and Perloff Symphony. Oh, Pine Needles are tuned in tight to Infinity Sports Radio every night. Maggie and Perloff, your daily delight. In their words, you find your life. From highlights to the breaking news, every take.
Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
Major news going on with regards to the NBA Finals. Welcome to the show, Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. Kristaps Porzingis dealing with a rare and serious injury to his foot, Perloff, that we thought was kind of spelled curtains for him, at least for tonight and maybe for the series. But because of your great connections and that of the one and only Tiki Barber, your world-renowned foot doctor, Rock Positano, joined us in the last hour and said he thinks Porzingis can play through this.
Yeah, it sounded like more of a typical injury. It's this rare injury, like he contracted some sort of bacterial infection in the wilderness or something. God. That's when I said rare injury.
Yeah.
And it turns out the way Dr. Positano described it, it's a very typical foot injury, and the muscle that connects the foot to the ankle/calf is worn. I think he could be okay. And there's also reports that he's walking around like normal. So I guess the question is, when the speed of a game starts, will he be okay? I will tell you, one thing Dr. Positano reminded us, like Porzingis' health long-term, I'm not sure I want to sign that guy to a 7-year contract. It does feel like it's going to be a constant challenge with him.
Yeah, probably. But listen, the Celtics, they're in the now. They're in the moment.
It's about now. You're right.
You're 2 games away from, making good on all the promise and all the expectations and raising that 17th banner. And next year's next year. The future's the future. I kind of understand where they're at now. And so that was some encouraging news. And if you are thinking about betting this series, that might be something you might want to keep in mind. Okay. Wednesdays around here. Great debate, y'all.
The Great Debate Series.
Okay. We do this every Wednesday at this time. The Great Debate, something loosely based on the news. Now, I got to give full credit where it's due here. Andrew Bogusch, who joins us every week for this segment. This was a Bogusch pick. You texted us yesterday. Do you want to set this up for the audience?
You guys had just walked away from me because you were picking between 2 possible great debates.
Yeah.
And we were fresh off a glorious conversation about Maggie's big and beautiful feet.
Big.
And I laughed to myself.
Never said anything about beautiful.
It was initially just me making myself laugh in my head, but then I thought, no, this actually could work on a serious note, which is why my text to you guys began with "hear me out." ...
That's always a fun one to get.
And in connection to your majestic Sasquatchian feet, I believe we have the best, the most historic body part in sports history today.
Yeah, we reframed it as the most important.
Okay.
Now, my feet, not that important. They are water skis, but that's the conversation for another day. We're talking about the most important body part for any professional athlete throughout history. Bogusch, we heard you out, and we thought this is hilarious, so let's do it.
Okay. I want to go last. I was waiting. Was there music? I can't remember if there's another.
We already played it.
Oh, we did? I didn't know if we played it again. No, I always
Play
get
again.
brain scratch. Like, when does the music play? You know me well
too.
enough to know I never know when the music's supposed to play.
You
Dosh,
don't.
watch.
No. This is why I sit in this seat and you sit in that seat.
Can I go last?
Absolutely, you can go last. Okay, so that I will go first then. We're talking about the most important body part of any athlete throughout history. And for me, it would be the combination of the right cross and the left hook and maybe the right uppercut of one Mike Tyson.
This is a combination uppercut by Tyson. Tyson laying it on, pouring it on. Down goes Bruno into the ropes.
Now let's take a look at how Tyson took care of business. Ducked under, a shot under the arm, in the legs, and from here on out, a rain of punches which buckled Frank Bruno until he was helpless.
Okay, Jim.
Frank Bruno didn't stand a chance. Mike Tyson's hands are the most important body parts and most feared. Tyson won his first 19 fights of his professional career, all by knockout. 12 of those came in the first round. He was the youngest heavyweight of all time. He became the most feared person on planet Earth, partly because he was weirdly strange, but also because of his hands and his devastating punch outs and his not only the right jab and right cross, but also the left hook, the right uppercut, the flurry of punches. Mike Tyson's hands are the most important body part in the history of sports.
Can we get a ruling here? Because it is a debate. You said body part, so we could do body parts?
Sure.
So
hands are a pair.
Yeah.
Okay, well, right. Is a plural parts, is that one thing?
Well, I was just going to go with the right, and you reminded me that the left was pretty fierce from Tyson. So
Yeah. Okay.
My answer is feet, not Maggie. So
But you didn't say foot.
I know. I said feet. So, but that's a singular
Okay.
body part, even though there are two of them.
Is it?
will you
Yes.
allow it or no? It's
well-
already a controversial.
I don't know. It just sounded like a funny sentence. Feet is a singular body part. Not really.
But
Anyway,
they're one thing. There's just two of them.
There we go. This will be the last time we let Bogusch pick the
No,
top.
you could say like Magic Johnson's vision. Now he technically has two eyes,
but
that's
vision is not a body part.
So
You
his
cannot
eyes
say-
then. So Magic Johnson's eyes are the most. That's still a body part.
I took it more as a one body part thing, but please.
Okay, well, we're getting lost in the weeds here. The conversation, the great debate, is the most important body parts of any athlete through
It's
history.
an S in parentheses after part.
Bogusch, this was your topic. Do you want to go next?
Yeah, my feet, and I'm actually surprised I ended up here. I wanted to be mean at first and say like Bill Buckner's knees, which didn't allow him to get down.
That's not nice.
I know. I was going to say Bruce Bochy's head, but I wanted to leave that for you.
That's not nice
Pete.
Oh, it had to be Bruce Bochy's mustache. I mean, that thing is
That's not a body part.
power unto
Nothing's
itself.
making the decisions.
So I ended up somehow in football, which is not where I thought I would get when this all began. But I'm going to think of the feet of a runner in Motown. Do we have a highlight here?
Deep hand off to Barry. 35. Breaks through 30. Barry outside of the 20. Cuts inside of the 15. Outside of the 10. Barry this is the third 5. And touchdown!
Barry Sanders turned around a defensive back about 3 times.
Yeah, I'm too old to fully appreciate Walter Payton and certainly not Jim Brown or Earl Campbell. Barry Sanders to me is the running back. And those singular runs where he's twisting and turning and guys are falling over themselves, going the wrong way. I can't think of another comparison of an athlete making other athletes look as silly as Barry Sanders did. So give me Barry Sanders' feet, foots, left and right in this debate.
Well done.
We're going to ignore the fact that he generates all that power from his core, but okay.
Ryan, you want to weigh in here?
Yeah, so I'm going to go with a different sport also. I'm going to go in baseball here, and I can't ignore this one person's arm.
Owen Ryan. A 2-0 pitch. Fly ball, right field. Ruben Sierra in foul territory. Number 6 for Nolan Ryan. The Express has done it once again.
Nolan Ryan himself, his right arm is legendary. just for the amount of innings he threw, almost 5,400 innings in his career, 5,700 strikeouts, could reportedly throw over 100, probably 104 as a starting pitcher back in the 70s. It's absurd.
Right, it's a great one. We're asking what is our great debate this week is the most important body part of any athlete of all time. I said Mike Tyson's hands. Bogusch is going with Barry Sanders' feet. Ryan now going with Nolan Ryan's right arm. Pete?
Well, I didn't know we were tying athletes to each body part, but I'm going to say just blanket statement to start, the brain.
Okay.
Because any one of these athletes can have all the ability whatsoever in any part of their body. If they don't know where to go, what to do, who to associate with, they're going nowhere. They could have the most talented, we've seen athletes that have all this strength and all this power and end up not making it because they can't think for themselves, they can't do for themselves. So the brain, for me,
okay,
I will tie it to an athlete.
Yeah. Who's the smartest athlete?
Well, one of them, Tom Glavine.
Okay.
Tom Glavine is a Hall of Famer, but he takes that extra step because he realized he can work the plate and work. What are we laughing at?
Tom Glavine?
You're so bad at this.
Okay.
I'm hearing about.
But he's not the greatest pitcher. That's why I thought you were saying. I thought you were starting to say Tom. I thought you were saying Tom Brady. That's why I thought.
I was explaining myself, but you can take it from here. Then.
No, please.
Nope.
No.
Karloff, you've insulted the man.
I'm laughing too.
I misunderstood your point. Like you're saying, Tom Glavine was all brain, less physical skills. I get it now.
I'm saying his brain helped him propel himself to another level.
Got it.
I just think you would like Nolan Ryan, Mike Tyson, Barry Sanders. Like Tom Glavine's just a cut below those guys.
Tom Glavine's brain.
Yeah, he realized he could use the outside part of the plate more so than anybody else, and he in an era where there was no cameras there, he worked it, and he was getting strike calls and was propelling himself to another level.
I totally agree with that. So, because like I kind of misunderstood. You're saying like he was more brain than arm, where Nolan Ryan was more arm than brain.
Correct.
You know, I think that's a major upset that you would go with any athlete's brain, and the answer is not Ryan Fitzpatrick, because we always talk about how he's from Harvard and how smart he is. And the Wonderlick and all of that stupid stuff.
There's still a playoff game that does not sit well with me, or non-playoff game that does not sit well with me.
Oh, well, he was a disaster at times, but he's always known as being smart.
Can I lodge my objection to Pete's answer? I can't believe that you thought we were just asking for like a structural answer, like
kidneys.
Well, I'm going to go with heart, because if you might be fast, but if your heart wasn't beating, it wouldn't matter how fast you are.
You know how many athletes have? Look at the I'm blanking on the power hitter from the Rangers.
No, your brain's not working.
Always got in trouble.
Josh Hamilton.
Josh Hamilton. Always had tremendous ability, more so than a lot of people that are in the Hall of Fame, and could not make it because he couldn't think for himself.
Well, Bobby Jones, what was the famous line? The most important part in golf is the 6 inches between your ears or something. I screwed that quote up. But
imagine where he would be without his stomach.
I'll tell you, golf is way more mental than even baseball.
You got to have tendons.
Can I just tell you some of the body parts I rejected? I wanted to go recency bias. I was going to go Kennedy Carter's left elbow because it launched so many takes.
Again, it's a great debate. We're doing the greatest body part, the most important body part of any athlete.
And you could have gone people's elbow.
Yeah.
It's like body part. Like I took this more.
You guys would have found a way. Oh, he's picking wrestling again. That's in a sport.
Yep. That is what we sound like.
That's why when we do these great debates, we tailor them so you can give us a fun wrestling one, because people actually want to enjoy this conversation.
If I pick Bochy, it's like, oh, he's picking Bochy again.
You did pick Bochy 3 or 4 times.
He's the smartest man in baseball.
And by the way, we still ended up laughing at your answer.
It's not right. Leave me alone.
I also considered Secretary's hooves, because it would have been fun to have a hoof.
You should have done the hooves.
Regular. For some reason, we had a conversation about Michael Phelps' lats, because who would have ever thought of a lat? But Ryan Botcher told me to do Messi's left foot just to be safe. So I was
Messi's free kick. Oh, it's a brilliant little Messi goal. That is world class. That is Messi class. That's above world class, Jerry.
Perfect. Yeah, nailed it. So here's why I think I actually win this great debate. I'm gonna be serious here, because I picked one body part, and it's a body part that individually functions. Nolan Ryan's arm, he has a lot of things that go into that. Barry Sanders, great moves. That's all like legs and arms. And Tyson, Tyson had great fists, but he also had huge biceps. So I think the individuality of my particular body part
because Messi's foot is not connected to any other part of his body. This doesn't impact anything. The song, the leg bones connected.
I looked at the stats. He has 84% of his goals are with his left foot.
Right, so this is a left foot running around on the pitch.
No,
he's attached to a body.
But here's what interests me. Then the other 14.9% are his right foot. Then there's 2% other.
Head.
No, it wasn't even his head. There was also head. No, his head was also got a bunch of stats too. But then there was just like random. They couldn't even identify a body part. Left foot.
There
Whatever.
you go.
I didn't. I was gonna actually look at Oscar Pistorius, but like that. But like a body part, like something interesting.
You should have gone with the Secretariat. That's a missed opportunity. See, the fact that you thought of it and didn't go with it. If I had thought of it,
honestly, I would have. But they're four hoofs. Which one do I pick? The back left.
Okay, so that's your great debate today. Wow.
And also, I mean, if you don't put
Back
the horse,
left.
it's not just the hoof. You got to put a horseshoe on it too. So there's a lot going on there.
No one picked Wilt Chamberlain? I thought somebody would throw that in there.
Well, I know. Did anybody want to go with Maggie? Maggie had a joke on text that was pretty darn funny.
There was a reason it was on the text, not to our many lovely, incredible Infinity Sports Radio affiliates. I said Nick Foles' heart.
Yes.
He's got a nickname. It all
got
rhymes.
a big heart.
Anyway, that's the great debate today. Not as big as mine.
Did we mention this all started because of Maggie's shoe size?
Yeah, my gigantic feet spawned this conversation. Great debate. The greatest, most important, rather, body part for any athlete in history. Again, I did Mike Tyson's hands. Bogusch did Barry Sanders' feet. Ryan did Nolan Ryan's right arm. Pete did Tom Glavine's brain, and Perloff did Messi's left foot.
I'm not going to do these anymore if this is going to be a big laugh fest at me.
Just do them better.
No, I am doing it. I'm doing something that no one else will do.
That's why it's awesome.
Tired of it.
Yeah. No, we like this. This is this is our brains. What do you come up with?
I'd ask Ryan, who's my best soccer foot to go with. He's like, well, Pele did this. Maradona was amazing with his left foot.
Well, that we didn't go with the hand of God, which would have been Maradona's.
Yeah, and I actually just looked up. His left hand was a famous body part.
Scored the goal in the World Cup.
Honestly, Pete, I'm disappointed you didn't go wrestling. You could have done Rene Goulet's The Claw.
Oh, yeah, all right. Anyone but us knows who Rene Goulet is.
People's elbow, we all know.
Yeah, but I'm trying to do something different.
I know. So don't get mad if we laugh at it. It's
you
good.
laugh at everything I do.
Yeah, because you're amazing.
It's great. We never know what to expect. Well, with anybody, but Daly's in the chat said Lance Armstrong's veins. Oh, gosh.
Oh, God.
Lance Armstrong's
I didn't get that at first. I was
Most
like, whoa.
Not his brain.
Usain Bolt's legs, says Jerome.
That's a good one.
Yeah, we looked at that.
Who? You?
Babe Ruth's tummy. Me and Ryan. I definitely needed help on this one. I wasn't going to be original.
Jordan's brain, too.
What's that?
Or Kobe's brain.
But Kobe's brain. Yeah, someone mentioned Michael Jordan's mind, and I thought that was a little insulting to Michael Jordan's athleticism because the guy took off from the foul line, but mind was a popular choice as well. I'll bet you Pete wins this poll.
All right, we'll put the poll out.
With brain?
Yeah.
Tom Glavine's brain.
Glavine was a parenthetical attachment to the end.
Before everyone started laughing, I was making my point, and it was
but your point was
hilarious. The brain is the most important body part for
I totally
any
agree with
athlete.
that. It's just we had a list of 4 of the top 10 athletes of all time, and you had Tom Glavine.
Well, as an example, there's many people we could use.
He's the second most cerebral pitcher on his own staff. That's the other amazing thing.
And again, he didn't have Tom Glavine. He had brain.
Greg Maddox had more talent than Tom Glavine did.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that. Greg Maddox threw like 84 miles an hour. I don't know, whatever.
I mean, he had some tremendous talent.
How about Pine Needle says Larry Bird's mouth because he could talk bleep like nobody else.
Definitely.
Key to his success. 855-212-4227. Bogusch, nice job on the inspiration here.
EJ texted me. Jalen Brunson's left hand is his answer.
It's broken now.
Yeah.
I was going to go with Kristaps Porzingis rectaminal tendon.
You make it sound like a rectum injury. Like
It starts
he
at
sat
REC.
on something.
Retinaculum.
I thought the same thing. Those are not words I've ever seen before. There's like 8 in a row that are not English.
You know some of the words inside the word,
right? But not connected and never in that order before.
Well, according to Dr. Rock Positano, it's all good. Okay, coming up, somebody wasn't at the mandatory minicamp. Somebody may get fined for it. Who is that person? We'll tell you next.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. $30 seconds remaining. 15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back to Maggie and Perloff. If you want to call us later on our great debate, most important body part in sports history, we have varied answers. Love to hear from you, 855-212-4227. Meanwhile, Maggie, once again, we're trying to figure out Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, we have dedicated a whole segment called What the Bleep is Aaron Rodgers Up To Today? And it varies, all different degrees, but we want to get the thoughts of someone who is boots on the ground covering this team, and that's Connor Hughes, who's a football reporter for SNY here in New York, Jets and Giants, and has covered the Jets specifically for a long time, The Athletic, and so many other places. Connor, thanks for the time this morning. How are you?
I'm doing well, guys. I'm doing well. How are you?
Good. Haven't talked to you in a while, but I'm off the Jets now and just specifically on Aaron Rodgers' watch. But, you know, listen, missing a couple practices, I don't think is obviously not a big deal. And we're not trying to make it out to be any bigger than it is. But, Connor, can you describe just sort of, you know, what's going on around the Jets now and why were they blind? They weren't blindsided by this. Why do you think they chose to portray it this way? An unexcused absence where he's going to be subjected to fines. The team has to know that's going to be attention grabbing.
No, they were not surprised by this at all. This is a trip that Rodgers originally started planning back when he was still injured. So it's been on the calendar for a good long while, and this has been on the Jets' radar for a good long while. So they've been well aware. I mean, in hindsight, I think they probably could have come out last week or the week before at one of these many media open organized team activities and said how grateful they were that Rodgers was at this voluntary portion, and they know he's not going to be at the mandatory portion, but, you know, he's getting the work in now, and it's a minor headline on one of those days, and then when he shows up here, maybe a little bit more news, but nothing other than that. So I think it was slightly surprising that they chose, and Robert Saleh chose to go at it this way. Specifically just because the minute you say unexcused and volunteer that information without it being asked. I was actually at the Giants earlier that day, heard that Rodgers wasn't there, got in the car and drove right from Giants to Jets. But the minute he volunteered the information as unexcused, it does ping it because it makes it seem like it is unacceptable, that it's not something that the team is in line with. And I know that he said it's a trip that's very important to him, but it was surprising to me that Saleh decided to use that word. Now, I think one of the reasons why he was because the Jets have another absence as well, and it's Hassan Reddick. And you can't turn around and say, oh, Rodgers is on a trip. That's okay to miss. This guy wants more money. That's not okay to miss. It just sets a bad precedent that I think probably would have created some issues within the locker room.
Wow, that's interesting. I didn't connect the two. But back to Rodgers for a second. Also, the mystery of it. Like, why can't they tell us what it is? Or why can't somebody tell us what it is?
Because our minds are going crazy trying to figure out where in the world it could possibly be.
It adds to the drama.
Because the minute you say it, there's going to be people all over that place. So I think that Aaron right now just doesn't want that location specifically known for security reasons. So he's such I think I even underestimated when he first got here just how big of a star he is in terms of the sporting landscape. And then some of the stances that he's taken politically and medically have made him, I would say, even more well-known. I wouldn't use the word star with that because of how polarizing and divided a lot of people are on those topics. But it does make him somebody who a lot of people know. And the minute you say, hey, Aaron Rodgers isn't at Jets camp because he is at this place in the world that maybe is a little bit more remote or anything like that, I mean, you're going to have 1,000,001 people going and tracking him down, whether it's page six, whether it's TMZ, anything like that. So I think it's just honestly, it's a personal reason, and it's more than anything else, a security reason. Other than that it's not there. But Aaron's very active on social media. I'm sure within a couple of days here, you're going to see some Instagram posts of where he is and exactly what he's doing.
You know, this is an unusual thing for NFL teams. Most of the times when people are looking for the quarterback during mandatory minicamp, he's at mandatory minicamp. That's why, like, I'm not blaming you for this, Connor, but you seem to be almost normalizing. Like, you're all of it sounds like this is typical Aaron Rodgers. Oh, of course he doesn't want to let us know where he is because there'd be a media crash. Like, this is non-football stuff. This sounds crazy, I think, to a lot of casual fans.
Yeah, maybe it's just because I've covered the Jets since 2014 that there's really, I cover at a camp where the quarterback got sucker punched in the face and then missed the next 8 weeks. Like, so yeah, a trip here to miss mandatory minicamp is like, okay, yeah, I haven't done that one yet, for sure. Throw this one on the stove as well. Like, it's one of those things, man. But no, I mean, look, it's optics wise, it's not that great. You can make the argument of like, why not? Like, when I talked to my wife about this, she literally turned to me and said, "Why didn't you just schedule the trip for next week?" It's like, yeah, that actually is a very logical like way to just not create this media hellstorm that's going on right now. Is just go next week, not this week, and then attend minicamp. But he's a guy that walks to the beat of his own drum. He's a guy that for lack of a better term, just doesn't give a bleep what a lot of people think about him anymore. And this was something that he wanted to do, so it's something that he's going to do.
Connor Hughes is joining us. He covers the Jets and the Giants for SNY, and as he said, been covering the Jets since 2014. So you've seen a lot. Listen, none of this is going to matter, Connor, if Rodgers is healthy, if he goes out and he performs. What I was kind of surprised by, and I was kind of critical of Rodgers for saying this, and I'm just curious how it landed in the building, when he's now said multiple times at the end of last year, but then really put a finer point on it at OTAs this summer or a couple weeks ago, when he said, if we don't succeed, we're all out of here. Like, I'm curious how that landed with the front office and the coaching staff, because even if you believe that might be true, to put it out there like that, there's a lot of people who are on the hot seat who still have jobs. Like Mike McCarthy's on the hot seat, we think, but he still has a job. It doesn't mean you're going to get fired. How did that land in the building? Because this is people's livelihoods.
Yeah. I know I talked to a couple pretty high-ranking people after the fact, like after Rodgers didn't show up, because I was joking with them that, you guys could have given me a little tip-off here. Like, I knew Reddick wasn't going to be there, which is why I was a Giants. I was like, okay, Waller retirement versus Reddick. Okay, probably steer towards Waller. And then Rodgers wasn't there. And I'm like, well, that changes everything. So I was like, man, you guys couldn't give me a heads up here before I drove all the way to MetLife to now pivot and go over to Florham Park. And I think everyone is just they're fine with it in the weirdest way. Like, I don't know how to describe it other than, like, when he was in Green Bay, and again, in my opinion, just go to minicamp. Like, that is it. Like, just erase this storm and just go to minicamp and then do your trip after. But in their opinion, it's like he's been at every single OTA thus far. And because he's been at every single OTA thus far, he's doing things with them that he never did with Green Bay. In fact, somebody told me that if they did the math, they believe that he's attended more voluntary workouts with the Jets over the last 2 years than he had during his previous 10 years with the Green Bay Packers. Like, he's there all the time. So this was just one of those things where he decided not to be there. Now, if this was a voluntary practice, probably still noteworthy, but he's not at the voluntary practice than he is back at minicamp. It's one of those things where he honestly, everyone I've touched, like, I've tried to see, like, if is anyone just kind of giving me the company line. It doesn't feel that way. Like, everyone kind of feels like he's been so good while he's been here. He's been such a leader. Our offense looks so different when he's on there, and that was evident when even Tyrod Taylor was running it versus Aaron Rodgers, that it's more like, yeah, he's not here. Like, he created the storm. We're going to have to weather the storm. He's going to have to weather the storm. But you know what? No one's really going to care about this come September. And that was one of the lines that I got from somebody pretty high up there, is that Reddick and Rodgers missing this minicamp, is it a great look right now? No. Is it going to impact their 2024 seasons? Probably not. So I think that's kind of how they're approaching it.
Talking to Connor Hughes, the Jets trade for Hassan Reddick, is this what people call Jetsian behavior? Did they screw the situation up? They basically lost their sack leader Bryce Huff to the Eagles, then traded what is a conditional third-round pick for Reddick, and now he's not showing up? Or is this something that we're going to forget about in September?
Yeah, so Reddick is an interesting one, because that was one I wrote a story that's up on SNY, just kind of explaining right now exactly how we got to this point. And when the Jets traded for Reddick, they made it abundantly clear to him that they were not going to redo his contract with an extension. They were not going to take his current deal, rip it up, and give him a brand new 3-year, 4-year extension worth $30 million annually. What the Jets were willing to do was they were willing to adjust his contract slightly in terms of like adding in incentives, adding in escalators that he could reach that might lead to him making another $1, $2, or $3 million this year. But that's really, it was all going to be based off of his performance on the field leading to financial off the field. I would compare it honestly to what the Giants and Joe Schoen just did with Darius Slayton, where it was he wanted a new contract. They said, we're not giving you a new contract. Here's a way you can make another $500,000. Now it was going to be increased from that. It wasn't going to be $500,000 more they were giving somebody like Reddick, but it was that sort of deal that they were looking to do. Reddick was on board with that, so much so that I talked to several people within the building who talked to Reddick when he was there for their physical, and they told me that Reddick said, oh, I'm good. I'm going to be there for the voluntary portion. I'm going to be there for OTAs. I'm going to be there for minicamp. At some point between when he left after his physical finalizing the trade and where we are now, somebody got in his ear and was basically saying, yeah, don't go. So he cut off communication with Saleh. He wasn't talking to anybody. The Jets knew where he was working out, but he wasn't talking to anybody until he gets this new contract. And I think it's surprised the Jets because, in their opinion, they knew this whole time, like, we're not giving you the new deal. You know you're not getting the new deal. We're going to play it out this year, see where we are after the year, and then you're either going to get a mega money contract from us or you're going to get a mega money contract from somebody else, but it's just not coming right now. We're not willing to do that, which, again, guys, is one of the reasons why it's a mid-round pick, yes, but it's not until 2026. Like, it's in 2 years. It's not even next year. It's in 2 years. So they have been surprised that he's not here. Now, I talked to a couple of defensive coaches who told me that, look, at the end of the day, our defense on the defensive line isn't overly complicated. It won't be hard for him to pick it up. And everyone assumes that he's going to be there for training camp because of the chunk of change that he would have to, or the chunk of change he would be fined for not showing up. So I don't think the Jets are overly thrilled that he's not here, but they're not necessarily panicking yet just because they know eventually Hassan Reddick will show up. And when he does, he's going to be in shape. He's going to be ready to go. And when he's on the field, he's one of the league's best pass rushers.
Connor, Rodgers is not going to be there today either, right?
No, he's not there today.
Okay, so he's missing both.
Not. No, he's not. No, he's not in the country.
He's missing the whole thing.
Today.
Okay, not in the country. Yeah.
Ooh.
There we go. Okay, Connor, thank you so much. Connor covers the Jets and the Giants for SNY, SNY.TV. He is one of the best people on that beat. Connor, thank you so much.
No problem. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate it.
Appreciate that. See, this is the thing about, and we're getting back to Rodgers, the unexcused absences, the way that Robert Saleh said this is an event that's very important to him. And I think it's, listen, Robert Saleh is no PR wizard. Like, don't get me wrong. But I think they did him a real disservice here because they're making it seem like this isn't important to them. You know, it's important to Aaron Rodgers, and we know Rodgers has a very wide spectrum and range of hobbies. And it kind of makes it seem like if it was, he's flying supplies to Ukraine, that should be important to all of us, right? If he's doing some kind of humanitarian mission, that would be important to all of us, not just say that's important to him. Like, they put him really on an island.
Well, I mean, this could sound mean, but Aaron Rodgers has done hundreds and hundreds of non-football activities. Have any of them ever been anything like that? He's all about himself, like turning in.
Charities and all that. He
right.
definitely does.
But most of it's like ayahuasca, turning inside. A big part of his thing is get to know thyself. So It feels like he's at some conference about transcendental meditation, like something more along the lines of a holistic health and
maybe
maybe
he's on another ayahuasca trip. I mean, if he's out of the country,
I mean, it's straight charity. That you're right, he's done a lot of charity, but that doesn't feel like the kind of stuff he's been like lending his name to lately. It's more political, it's more health oriented.
Well, I just want to leave a little grace and a little room that if he was doing something, I think like if he was again like opening up a school in Sudan, I think they'd be like, Aaron, they'd promote it. It'd be like, Aaron's really doing this amazing thing as opposed to this is an unexcused absence and he's subjected to fines.
It was Saleh's wording and the way he said it too. It sounded like it was really unexcused and there was some dissonance there that the team didn't really want him to. You're right. I mean, I think Connor had a good point. Like, they could have probably said something about this last week or something, or leaked it to him, or somebody could have dealt with this differently.
Well, and you don't have to give out the coordinates of where he is by telling it. Maybe we don't know. Maybe as soon as you say it, it becomes way too obvious about where he is. Connor was saying maybe the media attention would be too much.
Yeah, like Aaron Rodgers opening Disneyland Europe or something. I don't know. I don't know what this means. Like, where is he that he's going to get this media? I just don't understand this. Really.
Well, if he's in some kind of ayahuasca tea ceremony in Costa Rica, I mean, good luck, TMZ, finding him there. That's not out in the open.
Yeah, now we're going to evaluate when we find out where he was. We're going to, was this worth keeping it a secret? Again, all this is not football stuff. It probably doesn't matter because it's June, but it doesn't feel like it's great.
Well,
it's not great.
Here's the thing. We're not at the point where teammates are going to come out and be like, this is a distraction. But when you come out and chastise the team and say, guys, it can't be about anything but football, cut the BS, you people cut it. But for me, well, I get a lot of grace because I know what winning looks like and none of you guys do. And that's essentially what he said, if you parse it down.
Right, and there's a lot of stakes here. Pro Football Focus put out a team ranking of the most talented rosters, and the Jets were top 5. Like, there's expectations are rising now, so they can't screw around in a way.
There's another thought I had about this, and it relates to Bill Belichick. But I'm going to save that for a second because Andrew Bogusch is here with headlines. Good morning, Bogusch. What's
Good
up?
morning again, guys. So most dates apparently dangerous for French Open champ Carlos Alcaraz. But this one should be good for him. Rafael Nadal, given a spot on the Spanish Olympic team today, will play doubles with Alcaraz. Nadal is still far from full health, but he wants to play in Paris next month. When he lost the French Open 2 weeks ago, he said he might skip Wimbledon to prep for the games. Kristaps Porzingis is dealing with an injury to a body part I can't pronounce or locate still. Mortals would take a game or two off.
Retinaculum.
Exactly, but not KP.
I am, of course. I have to be. I'm optimistic. As I said, I will do everything I can to be out there tomorrow. And yeah, we'll see.
Celtics head coach Joe Mazzulla said yesterday this will not be Porzingis' decision. Team doctors will make the call closer to tip-off of Game 3 tonight in Dallas. The Tampa Bay Rays were trying to stay bad at home last night, but the Cubs wouldn't let them.
The right-hander ready and throws. Here's a high drive into right center field. Suzuki going back, looking up. It's gone! A 3-run walk-off homer for Brandon Lau, and the Rays score 4 in the ninth inning and beat the Cubs 5-2.
As heard on Rays radio, so that 4-run ninth turning a 2-1 hole into a 5-2 win. Tampa was coming off a 4-game sweep at home, courtesy of the Orioles. The Cubs have now dropped 13 of 18 overall, but they're not the worst team in Chicago. The White Sox 4-3 losers in Seattle, dropping to 17 and 51
Offer still stands.
overall. Offer still declined. The Astros, especially after the brain gate, the Astros got a 3-1 win in San Francisco. Arizona dropped Anaheim 9-4, and the Marlins snapped the Mets' 1-game winning streak 4-2. John Rahm withdrew from the U.S. Open yesterday because of a foot infection. He didn't play last weekend's Live golf event for the same reason. And a few weeks ago, you guys may remember, EJ had me play a clip of Manchester United manager Erik ten Hag in a politely very English but contentious post-match press conference about his job status. Ten Hag told reporters they didn't know soccer when they asked him why his team didn't play well until the very end of the season. But that good end of the year, specifically winning the FA Cup over Man City, is reportedly saving Ten Hag's job. Ooh. The club's postseason review led them to believe keeping him is the best course of action, and now they'll work on an extension since his current deal expires after the coming season. Guys, back to you.
I can't tell if that's a good ending to the story or
it
not.
It feels like it's not. They went 98% of the year of why are you still our coach, and they had one good weekend, and now they're keeping him. And players spoke out. And again, what do I know about soccer? But it feels like this was the time to get rid of him, and they didn't. And maybe it messes up next year too.
Gotta be honest, it's giving me some Matt Eberflus vibes.
It's giving you any vibes?
Well, kind of, hung on at the end of the season, put together a couple wins. We'll keep him. It's well, maybe you shouldn't have.
Yeah, except the thing with soccer, man, they're all incredibly handsome.
The coaches?
This guy's a 10. I'm looking at you can't
That's what he should get the job for?
There's zero Matt Eberflus vibe in this man.
Is his agent worried about chicks too?
Sliding in the DMs?
No. I mean, could you imagine these soccer players? Oh my God.
Perloff's the only person on earth who, and Carlos Alcaraz's agent is you guys are the only two people on earth who are worried about his dating life. No one else. There are actual real problems in the world, not him finding chicks.
I want to be a week. I want to be him for a weekend. How does that happen?
Obviously, the problem is not him finding women. The problem is him avoiding women, right? Like,
Right.
yeah, like he's got to train. I mean, you saw Rocky. Oh,
Gotta go celibate?
you got to go celibate. Like, honestly, like it's hard to train if you're dating 7 supermodels at once. How are you going to get in 5 hours of tennis? I mean,
Yeah, man,
what's
if one more
Carlos
person asked me
if
that
that's
today.
the case, what is Carlos Alcaraz's most important body part? If that's the case,
Oh, yeah. Pete?
His brain. Both brains. 855
Yeah, which brain?
4227.
Big brain.
Oh man.
All
Not
right.
like Mr. Ten Hog that we were just talking about. There's a lot of dirty jokes there. I don't even know.
Eric Ten Hag, Maggie 9 feet.
Feet. Now our feet.
Size 9.
Oh, right.
It doesn't actually equate to anything on my body. It doesn't work that way. Be funny if it did. 855-212-4227.
You know what they say about chicks?
Now we
Big
know
feet.
that's the
right.
real problem with Carlos Alcaraz.
We can invent problems for him. Coming up, we have someone from Sean Payton and the criticism that he got in his first year as the Broncos head coach. What does he have to say about it? Also invoked a couple body parts in this answer, actually. We'll get to that next.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. 1 minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. $30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. Lots going on today. It's a great debate Wednesday around here. So we asked you, what is the most important body part of any athlete of all time? This is Andrew Bogusch pick, inspired by yesterday, my conversation about how my feet are a lot bigger than you guys had previously thought, I guess. We had a lot of good answers. Mike Tyson's hands was my response, Perloff.
I went with Lionel Messi's left foot.
Ryan Botcher is in for EJ. He went with
Nolan Ryan's right arm.
Pete Bellotti, outside the box as usual, pal. What'd you come up with?
I came up with the brain, and I used Tom Glavine's brain as a example.
Tom Glavine's brain. Bogusch will be in at the bottom of the hour. He went with Barry Sanders' feet. Let's go to Charles is in Maine. He's got a great one. Charles, the most important body part that an athlete's had of all time is what?
Got to be Tommy John's elbow. Got to be. This entire discussion arose out of an injury to Porzingis, is whatever it's called.
Yeah.
And so I didn't realize you guys were going to take it in a different direction, but there's a reason everyone has heard of Tommy John surgery, every casual baseball fan, and most casual baseball fans have heard of Dr. Frank Jobe.
Yep.
And they don't even call it Tommy John, it's TJ surgery now. It's got to be the most important body part.
Charles, it's a fantastic response. Creative. We'll call you next week for our next great debate because that one's on the money. It's, I'll be honest with you, because I came along after Tommy John, the actual pitcher. I knew the surgery before I knew the guy. And then getting to meet Tommy John was a thrill, getting to interview him and Dr. Frank Jobe, who I believe has passed away. But it's the most famous body part.
It really is. It was a great... I wish I had thought of it.
Yeah. You thought of Secretariat's hooves and you didn't go with it. What a miss.
But I like the fact that you think of I like the randomness. I thought that's why, and I'm still mad at Pete for not going with the Rock, the people's elbow.
You could have done it.
Or just, or actually the hand of God, because it's actually called Maradona, the famous goal. Because the one hand, I think to focus on a singular body part fits the bill here. Because really, as he mentioned, it started with your feet, not Kristaps Porzingis.
Yeah, I wish it was clever enough that it started with Porzingis, but we're a silly show.
Did you guys, when you were trying to think of this last night, try and think of an unusual body part? I thought there's some athletes who are famous for their abs. I don't know.
Well, what'd you say, Saquon Barkley with the quads?
Yeah. Great. Saquon Barkley's quads. Zinedine Zidane's head, because he had those two headers in the World Cup.
The headbutting got him ejected from the game.
Yeah, you're right. And you did Mike Tyson. I was like, what about Mike Tyson's teeth? The most famous thing he did was chew off Evander Holyfield's ear.
I know.
So I think it would have been interesting if we'd come up with a knee. What's the biggest knee in sports history? Maybe an injured knee.
I mean, how many of those? We got
we got an injured elbow with Tommy John.
Yeah, that's true.
Of course, your mind went to Nick Foles for obvious reasons.
I was just trying to be funny with you guys, but there's so much. I mean, Tiger Woods is back. I mean, there's so many things.
Yeah, you could go to individual injuries.
If we're talking about injuries. Bill Walton's feet. I mean, we were just talking about Bill.
Yeah. The one thing about Pete's choice, Tom Glavine, who is the most cerebral athlete of all time, too? I understand Glavine. You could go with a golfer like Tiger Woods' brain or something.
I mean, we could do a whole great debate on just who the smartest athlete is.
Yeah, and I disagree with you. By Ryan's Fitzpatrick is book smart, but that doesn't mean he's the smartest athlete of all time.
No, believe me, I've seen him throw enough interceptions in a Bills uniform to know he's not the smartest athlete ever. But
who are even the candidates for the smartest athletes of all time?
Well, I was just thinking, like, there's been a couple Rhodes Scholars. I think, was it not Myron Metcalf? Who's
Antron Roll or Myron Roll?
Myron Roll.
Antron Roll's brother,
Yeah,
Myron Roll.
I believe he's a Rhodes Scholar. I mean,
Yeah,
Bill
Bill
Bradley,
Bradley.
Princeton, and then a senator.
Yeah.
There's a lot of smart guys out
Jim
there.
Bunning.
Yeah, senator. Yeah, there are a lot of
senator.
people who have had political success. Some of them are smart. Some of them maybe not so smart.
Yeah, being in politics doesn't mean you're smart.
Yeah, by the way, is that any politician? You should probably immediately. Aaron Rodgers thinks he's the smartest person that ever.
Yeah, Aaron Rodgers' brain.
Yeah, Aaron Rodgers' brain. That is actually the most probably important body part around right now.
Yeah,
like,
not the Achilles, just the brain.
Like, where is that going to take us in the 2024 season? That's, to me, an interesting question.
Lynn Swan.
Yep.
Another guy.
Oh, yeah.
Because of his brain or because of his hand?
Politician.
Oh, sorry. I wasn't sure what you're talking about.
Yeah.
He's like famous. Like, yeah.
I think of it as like, the ballet catches. But you think of it as a politician. Interesting. Yeah, at least I think we've done a good job of keeping this above board after we did the whole first hour on VD.
We're a very, we're like a show that does everything. It's a variety act around here.
Yeah.
A lot of range.
And we're slightly immature.
That too. Coming up, storylines from Minicamp.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. 1 minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
The biggest storyline from this portion of mandatory minicamps, well, it's got to be Aaron Rodgers. Hey, welcome to the show. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. There is a lot going on, Pearl. You had Joe Burrow talking about staring down his football mortality after his latest injury setback. T. Higgins at their camp. Sean Payton dealing with critics by saying he'll give him 2 middle fingers. There is a lot going on with this set of mandatory minicamps, but Rodgers really takes the cake because he's not there. And Aaron Rodgers, who, with the Jets that is, and Aaron Rodgers, who has seemingly made this commitment to the team and was all at their involuntary OTAs and all of the team building stuff, was not just a no-show, but their head coach Robert Saleh says it's an unexcused absence and he will be subjected to a fine. It just seemed, he said that he's at an event that's important to him and that he did let the team know about it, but that they're still going to fine him for it. It's just a bizarre messaging for the guy who's clearly the most important person in the building.
Yeah, I'm looking at some old headlines, like May, where they're talking about how excited they are that Aaron Rodgers can practice without any restrictions and he looks healthy. But there's no mention that he's going to miss one of the mandatory minicamp in any of these. Like, they say they're trying to pretend like, oh, we knew this was going to happen. It's not a big deal. It just feels like that could definitely be the case. But when you look at the Jets' history and you look at the history of since Rodgers has gotten there, it just feels like there's chaos around them again. Like, it adds to the idea that, oh, this organization has dysfunction. Otherwise, everybody would be picking them to do really well. But you could pick the Jets with always a caveat that they make you a little nervous.
Yeah,
this kind of thing makes you nervous.
Well, and I think the head coach made it worse, quite frankly. And listen, it was Rodgers' decision not to show up for this minicamp. We have no idea what the event is. We had Connor Hughes on with us last hour, who covers the Jets for SNY, kind of maybe mentioned perhaps it's out of the country. Maybe they didn't want to tell people where he is because there could be more media attention. People would flock to wherever this is, and it could disrupt whatever Aaron's doing. I mean, your mind goes wild with the possibilities because this is someone who openly does psychedelic drugs and is a proponent of plant-based medicine. This is somebody who's done darkness retreat, which I think most Americans did not know was a thing until he brought it sort of more to the mainstream. Someone who talks definitely about, his sort of like, I know he's gotten really into bow hunting, all the podcasts that he's been on, not to mention his dalliance with politics, where he really seriously contemplated becoming RFK's vice presidential nominee. So the wide variety of places he could be right now. I mean, he could be on Mars. Honestly, if they were like, well, he went to the moon on one of those Blue Horizon, whatever they call them, Elon Musk spaceships, I'd be like, oh yeah. Rodgers, of course he'd go to the moon. That's so Rodgers.
I didn't know he was into bow hunting. That makes me like him more, actually. Bow hunting's pretty cool.
Yeah, I've listened to a 2.5-hour podcast about it.
So is he talking about how he appreciates bow hunting
Yeah.
himself, or that he's out there doing it a lot?
No, he's like learning from the master of bow hunting.
Yeah, that's a total. We're in the whole Joe Rogan
Yes, we are.
alone space. Like,
Yeah, just cold
survival.
showers and
Yeah.
living off the land.
Yeah. I mean, listen, me and almost everybody in America is hooked to listening to about stuff like that.
Sure.
But why would he be in Europe for a bow hunting convention?
Well, we don't know if he's in Europe. He could be in South America. He could be in Asia. He could be anywhere. Literally, where in the world is Aaron Rodgers? You can just throw darts at a map and try to figure it out.
But Connor Hughes said that they might be worried about media attention. If he's in Singapore or something, I don't think TMZ is going to chase him down. This whole thing just doesn't make any sense. I can't wait to see his explanation. This is going to be so much fun.
Or is it going to be a bit of a letdown? I think the problem here about this is not that this matters, like not that missing these 2 practices is going to mean anything come September. I think what it symbolizes is this is already a franchise that can't get out of their own way. And we all know these kind of franchises. The Browns are like this for a long time. The Jets are like this. Sometimes the Raiders can be like this. We know our New York Mets can be like this, where small things become bigger things. Not because they're big, because people handle them in the worst ways. And I'm not advocating for the coach to lie on Rodgers' behalf and say, no, everything's he's down the street. But you don't have to make it worse, and you should know by now that you will make it worse if you say unexcused an event that's important to him and that he's subjected to a fine. You have to know at this point, if you're the head coach of the Jets, that is going to be a headline. And so that's the problem, I think, with this. It's not this, but it's all these little things. And then it's just increased the hypocrisy of Rodgers and calling for his teammates and pointing the finger at them and saying, hey, guys, cut the BS. We can't have any distractions. Meanwhile, he's a laundry list. He's a walking distraction.
Yeah, of course, the much bigger issue is that he's 40 and coming off an Achilles injury. Like, the real story begins and ends right there. Like, that'll be the odds of him being physically in shape to play 18 games or 17 games of football are slim. I mean, is there any precedent of a guy coming back from that injury at this age? I know Vinny tried, but I don't think it was ever Vinny Testaverde. I don't think it was ever the same. So that's a real issue here. Think about what happened to Brett Favre in New York. Total circus.
Yep.
But what was the real problem? He hurt his elbow.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it would have been pretty good.
Yeah, no, they had
so
a good
you can. I mean, famously, you could be a circus and win a lot of football games. Look at the '90s Cowboys.
Right.
We're talking to our buddy Mike Silver later in the show, and he can tell you about anything that happens in the Jets. Nothing like that. You can win. I guess the question for me with the Jets is expectations. Like, he sets these like, we're going to be solid and good. Like, I don't know. If I'm a Jets fan, I find this all very daunting because, like, when do we believe? How do you believe? How can you believe in this team when you keep seeing these headlines that are non-football oriented and you already have a nervous situation and then he's not there for minicamp? It just adds up.
And also, I think it's a great point. And he also, I think, made the situation, like, he exacerbated it by before the season starts, he goes, if we fail, we're all out.
Well, that's fact. I mean, that didn't bother me as much as I think that's not an impactful statement at all. Yeah, no duh. If Robert Saleh has to probably win a playoff game. Like, how many years is this dude going to get?
Well, of course, like, the playoffs should be the goal. But as I said to Connor Hughes, a lot of people operate on the hot seat, and it doesn't mean they're fired. Like, it doesn't mean that they're going to be out necessarily. It's not so black and white. I think Rodgers tried to make it seem like, hey, if we don't succeed, everyone's gone. That's not necessarily the case.
Well, that's 100% the case here. But
no, because they never said what's the definition of success. Number one, so you never actually laid out the boundary here. And number two, I would have thought Mike McCarthy was going to be gone, and he's not gone. I would have thought Matt Eberflus is gone. He's not gone. But I know these guys are coming into the season likely on the hot seat, but they still are employed. And by the way, trying to figure out what the Jets are going to do, good luck to you. You will never figure out. That franchise sometimes works in mysterious ways. And to say, oh, if we don't win, we're all going to be out. These people's livelihoods on the line. I wouldn't have said that if I were Rodgers. But that's an old thing. We've had 4 different things since then.
No, I don't think any. Honestly, I disagree with you on that. Like, everybody knows, Saleh is in a hot seat in a way different way than Mike McCarthy. Like, Mike McCarthy was 12-5 and he got back. Like, Saleh, I'm sorry, there is no way he can go another season without a winning record at least and not and keep that job.
Oh, I'm surprised he has the job now.
Yeah, everybody. I think there were 30 other teams that would have moved on from him already. Like, there's no way. That, to me, is not a hot. Yeah, Rodgers saying, like, what everybody knows. I actually don't mind him ratcheting up the pressure. Like, yeah, I understand what I'm responsible for here. I don't think Saleh's like, oh, wait a second. Aaron Rodgers saying I'm on the hot seat now. I hope he's aware of this fact. If not, then he's not paying any attention at all.
It's interesting. It is very odd. And the other part of this is what's going to happen, which is he's going to do McAfee every Tuesday. And you think they're just going to talk about football? No way. That's that's not what that show talks a lot of football, but they do a lot of other stuff too.
Yeah, I know. But if he's healthy, is it really going to matter? I mean,
well, it depends what they're talking about. 855-212-4227 if you want to weigh in.
I mean, I actually disagree. Like, there's almost nothing he could say that would matter if as long as he's on the field and his legs are fully functional, he could say anything. I really believe that. And I think also America would forgive him too, because everybody loves a winner.
Yeah, you're right about that, but it doesn't mean it wouldn't be distractions. Like, just because it's like he's not going to get like canceled, or I think that's kind of what you're getting at, right? Even if he can't say anything, get himself canceled, it doesn't mean it's not going to be big story.
Right, it'll be a big story, but I don't think it'll affect the win-loss. Like, I would not change my bet on the Jets because of what he says on Tuesday. That's how I would view it. I think as long as he's healthy and on the field, the distractions are going to be there, but they could still be really good. He could say the craziest crap of all time. If he's throwing 3 touchdowns to Garrett Wilson, they'll still win the games.
Where do you think he is?
I have no idea. I would assume some sort of psychedelic drug conference.
Yeah, I think it's got to be something like what couldn't be moved for Aaron Rodgers.
Didn't he talk about a lot of speaking at ayahuasca stuff this offseason? I know he did that a few times, or he's a big advocate for this, by the way. Yeah, good luck with all that. I'm just saying the whole movement of I love all these people out there just trying to find a new drug to treat a problem and thinking that drug is going to be the magic cure. It's only been happening for 200 years.
No, this one works.
Yeah.
855-212-4227. I have no idea. You couldn't pay me to do that kind of stuff. We've also asked you a question because it is Wednesday. This is Great Debate Wednesdays around here. Today, this was an Andrew Bogusch pick. It was, what is the single most important body part of any athlete of all time? Kevin in Oregon has got a thought for us. Hi. Hey, Kev.
I figured I'd tie this into a story you had earlier, Joey Chestnut's stomach.
Man, has that become a controversy? Kevin, Joey Chestnut may not be competing in the July 4th Nathan's hot dog contest because of some conflict with a brand he's endorsing.
Yeah, vegan hot dogs. That sounds great.
Delicious. Sign me up for 10 of them. Kevin, thank you so much. Yeah, let's get into this Joey Chestnut thing, Pearl, because this is a guy who's become a mainstay at this hot dog eating contest in Coney Island, and he is now in a dispute with Major League Eating, a real thing, because he's now endorsing a vegan hot dog. Apparently, there was some concessions made. They've been trying to work this out for a couple weeks. There was a concession made that he could do a Labor Day contest for a rival.
Wow.
But the vegan hot dog, that was the bridge too far. He's crossed a line now.
No, I understand. It's a really important topic to the hot dog people. I think, this is to say that you're going to do a non-meat hot dog, that's a issue. Like, that's not a joke. Like, we're laughing at this. Like, that probably has, like, some bigger impacts.
Okay, but what about this thought? That if it's a vegan hot dog,
Yeah.
It's a hot dog in name only. That's not really the essence of a hot dog. So is it really the same product? It's really just tubular meat here, but it's not even meat. It's just plants. It's plant-based.
Well, right. But do you consider, what's a famous meat called?
Impossible meat?
Impossible meat. Like,
yeah.
Yeah, but I think you're saying, well, it's not really a hot dog, but I think the Impossible Meat people say it is really a hot dog. It's just as much a hot dog as the pork hot dog.
Yeah, right.
So no, I don't think you could say that it's not. I don't know.
Do you think that
Have you ever had it? It's like
No.
it's the same thing. I mean,
I've never eaten Impossible Meat or any of that stuff. It seems gross to me. But here's the thing.
you don't love the planet. You're all in on this.
I guess I'm just call me selfish. Here's the thing. If you are somebody who loves to eat regular hot dogs, do you think you're going to vegan hot dogs? Are these the same? Is this the Venn diagram of the same person? I think it's just people who are vegan already who want to enjoy a hot dog.
No.
I'm wrong on this?
I think non-meat hot dogs. I think they're growing like crazy, and they're moving in hard on the.
Whoa.
These people like, yeah, it's healthier. I don't think it's like some small like the vegan people are like driving this thing. I think Impossible Meats are moving into the other market in a gigantic way. I think in 20 years that's going to be like 50-50.
Really? I just think if you're sitting down to have a hot dog, you're at a ball game, you're doing whatever, this is not the healthiest thing on the planet. You're kind of making that like, hey, I know I probably shouldn't eat these every day. This is a special occasion. I'm at Wrigley Field. I'm in Dodger Stadium, something like that. I'm going to have a hot dog today. It's July 4th.
I guess. I would think over the long term that this probably cut into the sales already. I'd say it would massively cut into sales in 5 to 10 years. You don't think like they're worried about this? It's kind of like AI of the meat industry.
Jeez.
Yeah, I think hot dog sales are probably down. I mean, yeah, just because you don't do them, I think a lot of people are eating this stuff out there.
Have you ever seen a hot dog eating contest up close?
No.
It's rough.
But
it's not appetizing. It's really gross, in fact. They're shoving the hot dogs in their mouth. They're soaking them in water with the bun, a soggy bun. It's inhumane. This comes off as something that's like so typically American, but then like hey, America, July 4th, hot dog eating contest. But then watch it. It is awful. It's like you took something good and you made it just
We got to stack the deck now. Now we have to have more nationally known contests or eating contests that involve some foods that are very difficult to eat.
Right. So you don't want like Wing Bowl in Philadelphia or the hot dog. You want something like
burritos.
Burritos, okay. This is crab legs because it's really hard to get in there.
Let's have some challenge here because apparently you can eat 900 hot dogs in about 40 minutes.
Yeah, it's true. No, he's like the Barry Bonds. Not that he's like enhanced. I'm saying he's put down like 74 hot dogs or something.
What is the enhancement?
He's got a stomach of pure steel. Yeah.
Or willpower of pure steel.
They have the strawberry shortcake eating competition coming up.
Now that I can get behind. Where's that?
Matatuck.
I love strawberry shortcake.
It's in New York.
Would you like to eat pounds of it in a short amount of time with your bare hands?
I definitely would.
Right now.
Whipped cream, too? You get the whipped cream? By the way, I think I might have been right. Plant-based meat sales are in a bit of a slump because they're too expensive.
I get that. Everything's so expensive these days.
To make you feel bad, livestock account for nearly 15% of global climate emissions. This is a gigantic issue. When you say like the meat industry, it's a big issue.
Well, okay, but I can't enjoy anything. I can't.
Okay. I wasn't sure your politics on this. Now I know.
I can't eat a hamburger or hot dog now. I'm the one who's ruining the planet. None of these corporations putting all this crap into the atmosphere. None of that's doing it.
So just to be clear, so the individual behavior is excused because of the corporate behavior. Got it.
And that's a little bit where I stand. 855-212-4227. This has to happen at a nation-state level. But we don't talk politics around here. We talk sports, and Joey Chestnut is not going to, as of now, be competing in the hot dog contest. Do you think he's ultimately going to get there?
I think no. I think this is the stand. This is the line in the sand. No, I think no, and I think it's time for a new champion.
Maybe it's better if he's not there. Maybe it's better to get a new challenger here. And if you're playing the long game, maybe you get a challenger, then bring Chestnut back next year, and then you've got like the old school versus the new school person.
Yeah. Oh, I love it.
Right. So maybe it's time for a little new blood. He's won 16 of them. We get it. You're good at this. Amazing, in fact. 855-212-4227. Okay, there you go. We have got that on the table for you. We also have Tiger Woods and what he had to say about his chances this weekend at the U.S. Open. We'll get to that next. It's Maggie Perloff.
singing sonnets to Tom Clevine's brain. Oh, Clevine's brain, it's on the train, running through the strategies and games. Peter loves it more each day. Shouts hooray for Clevine's brain. In every game while others cheer for strikes and all the fame, Peter's got his notebook out, jotting insights from the game. Look at the play, what a scheme, he'll loudly exclaim. Who needs a homer when you've got Clevine's brain? Oh, Clevine's brain, it's on the train, fighting through the strategies and games. Peter loves it more each day. Shouts hooray for Clevine's brain. While fans go wild for curveballs that spin, Peter's analyzing the genius within. From tactic throws to the mental domain, he's all about the cerebrum game. Oh, Clevine's brain, it's on the train, running through the strategies and games. Peter loves it more each day. Shouts hooray for Clevine's brain. So here's to the brain that rules the game, and to Peter, the money who's never take. While we cheer the sport, he'll always remain the number one fan of Tom Clevine's brain. To the brain that rules the game, and to Peter, the money who's never came. While we cheer the sports, he'll always remain the number one fan of Tom Clevine's brain. So here's to the brain that rules the game, and to Peter Bellotti, who's never take. While we cheer the sports, he'll always remain the number one fan of Tom Clevine's brain. So here's to the brain that rules the game, and to Peter Bellotti, who's never take. While we cheer the sports, he'll always remain the number one fan of Tom Clevine's brain.
One minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. $30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back to Maggie and Perloff. I'm going to get in the weeds right now.
Okay.
I had a complaint. It's a show complaint.
Oh, wow.
It's with the rest of the people here. We have the great debate today. Greatest body part in sports history.
Most important.
Most important body part of any athlete ever. So we put up a poll at Maggie and Pearl on Twitter. And Ryan, who's in for executive producer EJ, put up 4 of the choices, left Tom Glavine's brain off there, which was Pete's thing, my first complaint. But he said the most impactful. And Maggie is winning. Mike Tyson's fist is blowing away everyone else. Messi's left foot, Barry Sanders' feet, Nolan Ryan's right arm. So most important, impactful. I think people are thinking which body part would hurt the most to get hit with. I think that's why you're winning this poll.
Important,
like,
same,
what is the
same.
most force per? Which body part delivers the most force? Of course, like, oh, Mike Tyson's fist. I wouldn't want to be hit there. It wasn't which hurts the most. It was what is the most important body part in history. I think you cheated this question to win the great debate.
It's
because,
important, impactful.
Why is Mike
Packs
Tyson's not even the most important boxer? Why his fist?
They were the most feared.
Right.
Yes.
You picked the scariest body. If we were doing the debate, like the scariest body part in the history of sports, most intimidating body part, definitely Mike Tyson's fist, maybe Nolan Ryan's right arm. But I felt like you kind of used a cheat code on this great debate, Maggie.
No, I didn't write this poll. Ryan did it.
It's very hard to describe what you guys are saying here in this question without looking weird.
No kidding. Take it over.
We're not getting a little. Why did you put Tom Glavine on there?
There's only blame Elon. You only put 4 options on a poll.
Believe me, we will. No, we love Twitter or whatever they call it.
Yeah, Bogusch, did this whole great debate, did it satisfy your idea?
Yeah, and I'm confused by the confusion around the question. I thought this was a very straightforward thing in 2 ways. Either to go like I think what me and Ryan did, like Barry Sanders' feet, Nolan Ryan's right arm, Messi's left foot, or if you wanted to do in a historical moment like the hand of God or something like that, that would have worked too. But I always thought it would be connected to either a moment or an athlete.
Yeah.
You wouldn't just give me a body part and walk away from the debate stage.
Pete eventually put Tom Glavine around on the brain.
You leave me alone.
The other part is we had a caller called and said Tommy John's elbow.
Yeah,
that's a great one.
That's a good one.
Mhm.
That's
Ted
a good
Williams'
one.
head.
Ted, now that would have been a good one too.
Yeah, still floating around
Change your
somewhere.
mind.
Yeah. If you'd gone Ted Williams' head, you would have walked off aware. You would have been done for the show. We would have found someone to sit in because that would have been a home run.
Is it next to Walt Disney's head? Do we know that?
Think so.
That's the rumor, right?
That's what they made Frozen, so it wouldn't come up first.
You should put it at the theme park.
That's something that Aaron Rodgers would definitely be peddling in. The Disney conspiracy theory that they made Frozen to try to throw people off the scent. When you would Google Walt Disney and Frozen, you would get the story about Walt Disney's head being cryogenically frozen. I don't even know if it's true. And now you get Elsa and Anna and Olaf.
Yeah. Aaron Rodgers would peddle that, huh?
Yeah. That's
Not Maggie Gray. Because that's
No.
all you think about 24/7 these days is the grassy knoll.
Pedaling.
Listen, I definitely got a little too deep into the JFK stuff. I just got an alert from my local.
Your eyes just disappeared as you said that. You were looking off into the very, very far distance.
Come Wednesday, it's going to be an unexcused absence because Maggie's in parts unknown. Like a JFK conspiracy theory.
I'm at the Texas State Theater just sniffing around. You guys don't even know that. It kind of drove it home for me, not just when our former boss Spike Eskin sent me volume 1 of a 400-page book about a certain conspiracy theory, but also I got an alert from my local library because I can't bring myself to buy some of these books because that's
too much of a paper trail.
Yeah,
I have to wait. It's on your public record.
Yeah, the public library.
Yeah.
They know what you're checking out. Right. So the Devil's
Big
chessboard
feet.
arrived for me. The Devil's chessboard, the history of Alan Dulles and the CIA arrived. I can pick it up later today.
The history of Dr. Scholl's.
That's more my personal library.
Thank God that thank God you're married, because between your new hobbies and your feet, you are not making yourself very enticing this week. No.
Yeah, I know. We're about to celebrate our 10-year wedding anniversary in July. Good thing I wrapped him up before he could.
11's far away.
Before he could see my feet. I nabbed him, guys. I got him in my spider's web and then unfurled my huge feet.
Trust me, he saw your feet. He could see them from the moon.
It's the first thing he noticed about me. Ma, you have beautiful feet.
There she is, walking down the aisle. She's not even there.
I'm all shoe walking down the aisle. Big shoes.
All shoe.
Has she been wearing a dress and a veil? How can you tell? One big strappy sandal. Anyway, that's what's going on with me.
In my neck of the woods.
Give us a good headline, Bogusch. Hit us with something good.
Save us.
It certainly seemed like Jason Kidd was trying to stir something up in Boston by saying Jaylen Brown was the best Celtic, not Jason Tatum, before Game 2 of the Finals. The Mavs head coach tried to kill that assumption yesterday.
My comment about Jaylen Brown is from watching tape and watching Game 1. I thought, again, he was the best player. Also a Cal alum, so we have ties. And so I said that. Everybody thought it was mental warfare. That's not mental warfare. That was just my opinion.
Kid needs Luka or Kyrie to be the best player in Game 3 tonight in Dallas, or his team will likely be in an 0-3 hold of those Celtics. Doncic is expected to receive a pain-killing shot for his thoracic contusion. We believe he got one before Game 2 as well, and we're still waiting on Celtic doctors to decide if Kristaps Porzingis can play through his new left foot injury. In San Diego last night, a walk-off dance party for the Padres.
2-2 from Alexander on the way, hit in the air, deep down the left field line, towards the corner, gonna go!
Higashioka, the home run stroker, and getting higgy with it.
Jesse Agler and John Sterling on Padres radio. Kyle Higashioka, the game-ending solo, shot a 4-3 win over the A's. Shohei Ohtani had one of 5 Dodger homers in a 15-2 beating of the Rangers. Aaron Judge, Giancarlo Stanton went deep in the Yankees' 10-1 routing KC. And the Phillies won at Fenway 4-1, but catcher JT Realmuto is having right knee surgery today, is out indefinitely. Rory McIlroy's lawyers filed a petition in Florida yesterday to end divorce proceedings. Rory says he and his wife Erica have reconciled, will stay together. This all going down on the eve of the U.S. Open. News of the divorce broke at the last major, the PGA Championship, last month. And the Las Vegas Aces took a 186 home loss from the Minnesota Lynx last night. The Aces have dropped 3 in a row for the first time since 2019. 5-5 is their worst 10-game start since 2018. Guys, back to you.
Championship hangover? It's bound to happen.
Yeah, where did they play the finals? Was it dry heat? They're still tired?
Yeah, between New York and Las Vegas. That's tough. It's a lot of cross country. I remember now about the Rory conversation. So he's reconciling with his wife, so that's cool for them, right? But Rory might not be like a lucky in love kind of guy, because do you remember with Caroline Wozniacki, they called off their wedding when it was already, I think the invitations were sent.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then she obviously rebounded nicely with David Lee, and they're married. They've got a couple kids. But maybe this is a Rory thing.
Well, as Perloff said, seems like a lot of fun.
Poor guy.
Rory? Oh, no. I mean, I'm not going to say that Rory's not fun because he has marital problems. But it gets back to my Carlos Alcaraz thing. It's hard to be single when you're a billionaire athlete.
Or hard to be married in the case of Rory.
Yeah.
Pick your
Yeah.
And that Amanda Baliona story was confusingly reported, much like Dan Hurley and JJ Redick and the Lakers. They're done. They're a thing. They're hugging. They're whispering. They're not together. They are together. It's over. Move on. It's crazy.
I love
3
Amanda.
weeks.
I know her. We have worked at the same job. She's fantastic. I always thought that was a little flimsy. The Daily Mail wasn't exactly turning in a 60 minutes effort on this one.
But then I don't know also, too, that with Us Weekly or People, somebody came in and definitively said this is not a thing.
Right.
Without having either one of them say it's not a thing. And then there's another report more recently that they again looked all flirty, and there's like a lingering hug after an interview, too. No one would leave them alone.
Man. Well, this is exactly what you want on the eve of the U.S. Open. And this is
to get undivorced.
This is what you want. Meanwhile, Tiger Woods, did you hear, Perloff, and I know you were paying attention to this story, that this could be setting up really nicely here for Tiger Woods. At Pinehurst, flatter course could be a little easier for him to walk.
That was Andy North's take.
Yeah.
Tiger's trying to lower everyone's expectation, but Pinehurst is a course that should play to Tiger. That being said, I mean, it's kind of hard to come out of nowhere without playing a lot and dominate, but it seems better than Augusta for Mr. Limp around the golf course.
Well, here's Tiger yesterday. He says he still has what it takes to get it done.
I do feel like I have the strength to be able to do it. It's just a matter of doing it. This golf course is going to test every single aspect of your game, especially mentally, and just the mental discipline that it takes to play this particular golf course. And it's going to take a lot. And we've been working on that and making sure that I understand the game plan and be ready, in 2 more days.
The mental part is never the part I worry about with Woods. I mean, that's where I think he has an edge over people. It was always the physical. Can he walk the course? Is the weather bad where his back's locking up because it's cold or something like that? But the mental aspect is Tiger's got a huge advantage there.
Oh, I don't know. I mean, young Tiger does, but I think all these injuries impact your mental game too. Also, the fact that you don't get a rhythm, you haven't played a lot. You don't think just coming out of the blue, like mentally, it's hard to like turn it on and turn it off. I'm not sure he has that edge anymore.
The brain.
Yeah,
Again, Tiger was his brain.
He can't possibly have the
part.
confidence he once did. I mean, Tiger and Red on Sunday used to be done deal. Who knows now?
Yeah, he just knows these courses so well. Anyway, so Tiger maybe has some expectations on this tournament. Of course, that starts tomorrow. Okay, 855-212-4227. Coming up, we'll check in on everything San Francisco 49ers. Mike Silver has written a new book, very cool, about the Kyle Shanahan coaching tree. It's really his dad, too. We got more of that next. It's Maggie Perloff.
You're in a 5-minute break.
Singing sonnets to Tom Clevy's brain. Oh, Clevy's brain, it's on the train. Running through the strategies and games. Peter loves it for each day. Shouts hooray for Clevy's brain. In every game while others cheer for strikes and all the fame. Peter's got his notebook out, jotting insights from the game. Look at the play, what a scheme, he'll loudly exclaim. Who needs a homer when you've got Clevy's brain? Oh, Clevy's brain, it's on the train, riding through the strategies and games. Peter loves it more each day, shouts hooray for Clevy's brain. While fans go wild for curveballs that spin, Peter's analyzing the genius within. From tactic throws to the mental domain, he's all about the cerebrum game. Oh, Clevy's brain, it's on the train, riding through the strategies and games. Peter loves it more each day, shouts hooray for Clevy's brain. So here's to the brain that rules the game, and to Peter, the money who's never take. While we cheer the sport, he'll always remain the number one fan of Tom Clevy's brain. To the brain that rules the game, and to Peter, the money who's never came. While we cheer the sports, he'll always remain the number one fan of Tom Clevy's brain. So here's to the brain that rules the game, and to Peter Bellotti, who's never take. While we cheer the sports, he'll always remain The number one fan of Tom Glavine brain. So here's to the play that rules the game, and to Peter Maloney, who's never a change. While we cheer the sports, he'll always remain the number one fan of Tom Glavine's brain.
1 minute remaining. "45 seconds remaining. "30 seconds remaining. "15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back to Maggie and Perloff. Maggie, you know, when I got to Sports Illustrated in 2004, I got the honor of being on the NFL side with the Dream Team, Peter King, Dr. Z, and of course, our buddy Michael Silver. Incredible to work with these guys, and we're still good friends with Mike, and he has a new book, The Why is Everything, a story of football rivalry and revolution. Before we get in the book, Mike, so I know the book is about Kyle Shanahan, Sean McVay. Can we just talk about Kyle Shanahan's current situation in San Francisco? You've done incredible reporting. You're now columnist for the San Francisco Chronicle. It seems like for a team that was just in the Super Bowl, there's a lot of drama over there. Should we be worried about the 49ers because of the Brandon Ayuk holdout and Debo is unhappy with his contract and eventually they're going to have to pay Brock Purdy? Or is Kyle Shanahan's team in good shape?
Well, they have one more year, guys, of that. We don't have to pay our quarterback gift, right? And they're not even allowed to pay Brock Purdy under the system. So they can go after it this year for sure and pay everybody. Next year, will they have both Brandon Ayuk and Debo Samuel on the team in 2025? No way. They drafted Ricky Pearsall in the first round. That's the future. That's the present. That's a cost-effective contract. And so one of two things will happen, most likely. They'll either do a deal with Brandon Ayuk between now and the start of the season. He'll be the guy going forward, and we'll know that this is Debo's last year. What could go wrong there with targets being reduced, a new guy, all that? Or they won't pay him. They'll say, play on the fifth-year option. I assume he'll end up doing that rather than sit out a season. And then we have the Hunger Games where one of those guys is probably staying after the season and getting paid again. One of them is gone, and they're definitely competing for targets. So all of that adds up to fun from a journalistic perspective. If you're a fan, you're just hoping they keep it all together and just keep winning.
Mike Silver is our guest. Mike, we know it's well documented. It's really hard for teams who have lost the Super Bowl to get back the next year. And this one was particularly devastating to lose again to Mahomes and Reed in the Super Bowl in overtime when you have the ball. I mean, how much of the pressure is on Kyle and how much like a lot of coaches, but I think specifically with Shanahan, as reading your book, this kind of stuff stays with him. The failures really stick with him. Has he actually turned the page from what happened in the Super Bowl?
You know, great question. They're trying, right? I remember after Super Bowl 54 vividly in Miami being in that locker room. They'd had a 10-point lead against the Chiefs midway through the fourth quarter in that one. And guys were saying, I remember George Kittle saying, we're going on a revenge tour. DeForest Buckner's like, we'll be back next year. He wasn't, for what it's worth. He was traded to the Colts pretty quickly after that. That wasn't the case this last, February. They were shook in that locker room, just silent, as if something had ended. Doesn't mean you can't regroup and do it. The counterpoint would be they have a quarterback. Yes, they drafted him at 262 the year after trading 3-1s to take Trey Lance at 3, but they think Brock Purdy is ascending rapidly. And so if you have a young quarterback that's ascending, it's hard to look at the future as stalled or bleak. And they're kind of counting on him continuing to make that jump. So look, I covered Mike Shanahan very, very closely when he was resurrecting his career in San Francisco as George Seifert's offensive coordinator in the early 90s, helped Steve Young change the arc of his career following Joe Montana. That's kind of where this book begins. And Mike Shanahan's last coaching job in Washington featured these 5 guys: Kyle Shanahan, Sean McVay, Raheem Morris, Mike McDaniel, Matt LaFleur, who of course have all gone on to bigger and better things. And they're doing it by really not really trashing the old paradigm, which was, we do it this way. This is how you do it. This is our system. We find players to fit it. Really, if you look at the RG3 year, the rookie year, and how they approach that, it's really changed the game. So I'm fired up about the book. I can't wait for you guys to be able to dig into it. It doesn't come out till October 1st, but the pre-order link is up, and I know you guys have friends in high places, so you'll see it before then.
Oh yeah, no, everything, Mike. I enjoy reading everything you write, and I'm so fired up for this. Did you, not to age you, did you get to cover Bill Walsh in San Francisco? It reminds me a little bit of Bill Walsh. I don't know if it's in the book, but was there a similar revolution with him?
Yes, and Walsh is definitely in the book. Yeah. In the very beginning, that's kind of the godfather we have to pay homage to, and really Mike Shanahan came into that system after a horrific 20-game stint as the young coach of the Raiders. Sound familiar? The exact amount of games Lane Kiffin had. Mike's wasn't that calamitous, but built himself back up by learning that Walsh system. I didn't cover him, so I came my first year as a young beat writer for the now defunct Sacramento Union, later the Santa Rosa Press-Democrat. I got a job covering them the next year, but yeah, that was 1989. They were coming off their 3rd Super Bowl victory in 8 seasons, about to win a 4th. George Seifert's first year, he had just replaced Walsh. But Walsh did come back, as a consultant, as a personnel chief for a while. And I remember at one point, Walsh came back as an offensive consultant, and he said, "Hey, come up to my office after practice." And we went into this little, as Walsh described it, it was a broom closet. And I'll vividly remember one of the great forces in the history of the game saying to me, all I've accomplished for this franchise, all I've built, and they have me in this broom closet. And, he was trying to make fun of it, but clearly he was a little crestfallen. We've all had that experience, right? Like, we get the job, we're fired up. Where's my new cubicle? And you're like, I don't know, man. It's right by the bathroom. Now, I will say this, Andrew. When you got to SI, were they still in the Time Inc. building in Rockefeller Center with the beautiful views, or had they moved by then?
No, they moved. I missed the party. Listen, at some point you could do a book about what was going on in the 90s at SI, because it sounds incredible. The cocktail cart and all that. Maggie missed it too. We both missed it.
Missing the party. That's going to be on my tombstone.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, though, you guys kept great journalism going, and that's all that matters. But it's crazy. My first about 7 months into my SI career, we had this getaway in Orlando. They called it Camp SI. It was about a 3 or 4 night boondoggle. And I don't know, about a month later, I was writing about the guy you see up there behind me, Dennis Rodman. And it just, I don't know. I got off to a roaring start, and never had more fun.
Mike Silver is our guest. He's got a new book. It's called The Why is Everything, and it's about what has become now like a legendary branch of a coaching tree. A lot about Kyle Shanahan, Sean McVay, the geniuses now of the game. And we talk a lot about the 49ers around here. Mike, I'm curious, if you're talking about Kyle Shanahan, just bring it back to the sort of present, what do you think has maybe shaped him more, or what do you think has left a longer lasting impact on him? The 28-3 loss to the Patriots when he was the Atlanta Falcons offensive coordinator, or what you mentioned before, trading the 3 first-round picks for Trey Lance, and just how big of a disaster that was. Yeah, they saved it with Brock Purdy, but that clearly wasn't the plan. So what do you think of those two, or maybe the losses in the Super Bowls? What do you think of those low moments? What has shaped Kyle Shanahan most?
It's a great question. And, usually if you trade 3 first-round picks and pick a guy at 3, a quarterback who doesn't work out, you're fired, the GM's fired, the franchise is set back years. I mean, it's hard for that not to be a disaster. When you go get a guy at 262 that turns out to be really, really good the next year, and you have a great roster, you could get away with it. You'll be surprised, by the way, when you read this book, who was the biggest champion of Brock Purdy, or maybe you won't, but you'll be intrigued. But that Super Bowl defeat, he was the offensive coordinator. That's on Dan Quinn in Atlanta, but Kyle was the one calling the plays. We've never really seen Bill Belichick, his defense, get torn apart like that in that context as it was the first 2.5 quarters. And then, of course, Kyle stayed aggressive in those moments. Dan Quinn let him, and Tom Brady happened. We all know that vividly. So I think that, it made him feel as though, yes, I am an aggressive guy, but unchecked aggression isn't always good. Hasn't fundamentally changed him, but I think it, he's a guy who the plan is so good in his mind, and he's right? It's so well crafted, and there's so many permutations where he can manipulate a defense, use the rules against it, and get people's heads spinning. And if the game is played on his terms, he believes it will go his way. But football's weird. Things happen. And, just ask the Detroit Lions, who arguably lost the NFC Championship game at Levi's Stadium this last January, on a ball that bounced off a quarterback's face mask and into Brandon Ayuk's hands. But when the game is not played on his terms, I think sometimes he has struggled in those moments. Ultimately, he tries to adjust like everybody else, but he really is beholden to that plan. But I understand it, because the plan is so good, and strategically he's on a level in terms of playing out those various combinations that nobody else in the game is on. And Sean McVay, if you gave him truth serum, would tell you that, as would a lot of other people.
The book is The Why is Everything, a story of football, rivalry, and revolution. Mike, just a quick sad story passed during this interview. I don't know if your phone is blowing up regardless. Jerry West passed. The news just came out. I know you're close with Steve Kerr, grew up with Steve Kerr. I'm just curious if, you're a huge Californian, talking about legends of the game and guys, both as an executive and as a player. I mean, I'm sure you have many thoughts on Jerry West as well.
Oh, absolutely. Well, Steve and I grew up in LA, and, I was probably the only Warrior fan at our school back then, but, everybody else grew up a massive Laker fan. And, some of my first memories of Mr. Clutch, late in his career, but that Laker team, 71-72 with the 33-game winning streak and the championship with Wilt. And he was just, a transcendent player. And it's rare, as you guys know, for a player who is transcendent to be, as good as that in a coaching or executive capacity. And Jerry West was, in terms of building the Lakers. Had a big part in building that Warriors dynasty, which we still think could exist with Steph Curry still on the roster. But, the 4 championships and the 6 finals appearances, Jerry West had a big mark on that organization with the Clippers and obviously with the Lakers. So, I'm trying to think of a football parallel, maybe an Ozzie Newsome who was so great as a player and then did it as an executive too. One of the all-time, I know a lot of people think history began 12 seconds ago, and these all-time lists are obviously skewed very heavily toward now, but Jerry West is absolutely one of the greatest basketball players of all time on a very short list.
Mike, thank you for sharing that. And that news just broke that Jerry West, 86 years old, the logo. Never wanted to acknowledge that he was the logo, which says a lot about him. And you mentioned about, as a player, a competitor, then as the architect, not just for the Lakers, for the Warriors, Memphis Grizzlies. Had a nice run there, getting them on the map. Mike, thank you so much. Congrats again on the book. We love reading your stuff. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks, you guys, so much.
Appreciate that. We're running out of time here that we get this big news right at the end of the show. It's sad news. You know why? Because Jerry West is still doing lots of interviews, with NBA radio on Sirius and stuff. And he was sharp. Weighing in on current stuff with great insight and acumen.
Yeah, I remember he came in live to surprise Dan Patrick, he was Dan's idol. That's sad. 86, what a great life. And sorry to throw that on Mike. I just know Mike is very close with Steve Kerr, and it's just this is going to impact everybody.
Yeah. Sad news. Jerry West passed away, 86 years old. Okay, and that's where we're going to have to leave it. Thank you to Ryan Botcher. Thank you to Pete Bellotti. Thank you to Andrew Bogusch and to Andrew Kaplan and to Mike Silver and to Connor Hughes and Dr. Rock Positano, the Weedos and the coffee drinkers. And you know who you are. See you tomorrow.